Yeah, I got lost.
That figures. Now,
I got lost.
did you guys cross over at the other place before where you guys were at?
We never really had much of an opportunity because I was doing early mornings. He was doing afternoon drive.
Yeah.
And there'd be the chance hallway, crossover, not in the studio, just crossing over in the hallway and saying hello. But I never felt I got to know Ron's at all. So, and it's changed here, which is great.
Yeah, it's funny, and I know you and Kevin would see each other occasionally on when he was there and you were going from one place to another. But it does seem like there's more of everybody coming together here.
Well, this is a big family here.
It is.
It is.
We all like each other.
Although
it seems that way.
I think so.
Although I haven't been around enough to really know,
No, it's a big happy family.
I can trust
Bernie.
everybody.
You can trust anybody here, except for like 6 people. I'll let you know who.
Okay.
I'm gonna make a list.
Just kidding.
For you.
Actually, everyone's been great. So
it's been great to have Bernie here. Ron, Merry Christmas.
Hey, Merry Christmas, man.
You're a big Christmas guy,
dude. I love it. I hate this day. I hate the 26th
because it's the furthest we're away from Christmas again.
It's and it's the season's almost over, and the day after Christmas is the worst. And I think everything leading up to Christmas is the best. The anticipation of it's awesome.
Sometimes the anticipation, though, because when you go to stores a few days before Christmas, some of them are like sold out of Christmas stuff, and they're already getting ready for. We start this whole Christmas thing so early,
which I love.
Sometimes it feels like by the time we get to Christmas, it's gone. Like you've gone too far.
And I think, honestly, this year is one of those years for me where it felt like it was here in a minute. It's almost like I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, Christmas is today. Shoot, I forgot,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It might be because the weather is so warm for this time of year. It's been like 50 degrees for most of the month. It should be 20. It should be 30. And it feels like it's not quite here yet and it's already gone.
I think, and again, I'm the oldest one in the room, so and no problem acknowledging that. I find it difficult, the holiday season difficult, not in a way where I have the blues or I'm depressed or any of that. It's just, you move into a different phase of life and you appreciate some things about it maybe you didn't when you were younger. But on the other hand, some of the things that got you excited about it when you were younger don't apply anymore. And it's kind of, I truly love it. And I truly get in the holiday spirit. It starts right before Thanksgiving all the way through the Christmas. But there are times where it's kind of like,
Well, this was okay. As much as
sounds awful. But.
No, it doesn't, because as much as I can feel about it, this felt like one of those years. I mean, I still love it. I love the holiday. And like I said, everything leading up to it, everything that goes into it. I'm a big fan of the lights and the music and the simple stuff that you like when you're a kid. And there's a lot of nostalgia in it. So I'm still very much into it. But it is one of those years where I felt as much as I can feel that way was this year. And I'm telling you, it's weather. It is, for me anyway. We hardly had any snow. We had one day where it snowed and then it melted the very next day. So like we didn't even have the prospect of a white Christmas. And I don't know.
I've got young kids, so it's a little bit different for me. It could be 90 degrees outside, and my 5-year-old is going to be very excited about Christmas.
Different.
So it's a different, but that's the fun. That's where I'm at now, and I think most parents probably agree with this. The fun of Christmas is watching the kids being able to experience anything. And for my youngest, who's 6 months old, it was her first Christmas. She doesn't know what's going on, but giving her gifts and then being able to see her gravitate to something and play with it like that as a parent, that just makes Christmas worth everything. So I love that part of it.
And I love Christmas movies, so that's never a problem. And I like all different genres. My wife, who may be listening, she has a preference to sort of watch the same films over and over and over again.
Okay.
And so there comes a point in time where I'm like, okay, well, all right, we've watched that 5 times. Can we watch something else now? Or is that no?
What's the one that she goes to most often? What's the go-to?
She is a Home Alone addict.
Okay.
Oh.
And she is a the one with Chevy Chase, the Christmas.
Oh,
movie.
National
Christmas
Lampoon's
Vacation.
I
Christmas
couldn't.
Vacation.
I've
Yeah.
drawn a complete
You know,
blank on that. She watches that over and over again. And
Yeah.
actually, I will join her for certain parts of it. Like I don't just ignore the fact that it's on and walk out of the room or whatever. But it's like I'll watch part of it, but after a while, it's like, well, I kind of want to go watch this football game. Like
Yes,
yesterday.
yeah.
Yesterday was a good example.
Yesterday was a very good day for that. You were on with us earlier today. We were going to ask you this question, but we got sidetracked with with other stuff. We had a poll question on our Twitter account last week or earlier this week about wrapping gifts and whether or not you're a gift wrapper or a gift bag person. And we were talking about you.
Mhm.
And Nate said, what do you think Bernie is? And I said, you know what, I bet Bernie doesn't do it at all.
I used
bet
to. I don't.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
So
God bless you.
I don't.
It's
not a policy.
it's
not like
just
I'm
you just
saying
don't do it.
No, my wife is incredible. Like in terms of the holiday season, and
Yeah.
like just she's so enthusiastic about everything, and she does everything, and she wants to do everything, and it's never like, oh, I got to do this. She just looks forward to it. She just dives right in, and that includes all the wrapping. And we don't really. This sounds really cold, but I'm being honest here. We don't exchange gifts because we both found that it's kind of difficult to like do it right.
Yeah.
And then we would overcompensate and spend more money than we really needed to, because the gift we turned out to give each other was a good gift, but it's kind of like, that's not a big deal. And we decided, it's something that should go year round. We should do good things and nice things
throughout the year,
throughout the year, rather than, well, I'm obligated. Huh? What's that? Where it's like I'm obligated. I've got to get something special, and all that, and
It's too much pressure.
It puts a lot of pressure on, and then you hit a home run every now and then, but it's so we just thought, let's take some of the pressure out of the holidays, and just be real laid back about all this, and we'll give gifts to your family, and they love to give gifts to us as individuals, and then we don't have to go through all the rituals. Like, we can just enjoy each other's company and the holiday spirit and how beautiful the home looks. We don't need to just like, I gotta spend this much on her this year. No, it's just, we just kind of ruled that out. And is that a
no? I think that's a very logical and less stressful way to look at it.
My wife and I, we did not give gifts to each other this year. We made the decision to not do that. When you have two kids, it's expensive as is. So we didn't need to spend that money, but bringing it all together, we did. So my wife took my 5-year-old out, and I took my 5-year-old out, and we got gifts from my 5-year-old. I took her to get gifts for her mom, and my wife took her to get gifts for her dad. So we're doing the gift wrapping, and my wife is going all in on the gifts for me, for my daughter, with the wrapping and everything. And I go and say, hey, do you really care if I just throw this stuff in a gift bag? And it was fine. So yeah. I go gift bag, and sometimes you can reuse gift bags too, over and over and over.
Oh, I think we have gift bags in our family that have been around since the Obama administration.
Well, that's one of the things with Amazon now, with the holiday gift, like everybody's got 1 million gift bags now.
Yeah. I don't know. That is a good feature, being able to reuse a gift bag.
Yeah.
I do like that.
You can't. Sometimes you can reuse tissue paper, but you can't really reuse wrapping paper.
Tearing that paper though that's the best.
That was one
tearing
of the things
into a
with
gift.
The 6-month-old, watching her grab the paper and pull. It doesn't get much better.
No, there's nothing like that.
You guys mentioned the football. I actually wanted to talk about this a little bit with you, and not so much the actual games, but yesterday's games were on Netflix. A lot of people were concerned about whether or not Netflix would come through in a big way, especially after the disaster that was the Tyson fight. I thought Netflix did a pretty good job yesterday with it. We'll discuss coming up in just a moment. It's Matt and Bernie along with Ranj in for the Dave Glover Show, as it's kind of the Gashouse Gang. We got a lot of things going on. We're back with more in a moment on KMOX.
We go where you go. 1120 AM, 98.7 FM, KMOX.com.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com.
Discover the only true luxury Genesis experience at the first and only standalone Genesis dealership in Missouri, Genesis of St. Charles. True luxury isn't just built, it's engineered with precision and passion. When it comes to unparalleled service and luxury, accept no substitutes. Genesis of St. Charles is ranked in the top 10% of all dealers in the country. Treat yourself to the exclusive Genesis experience, because true luxury deserves its own stage. See for yourself. Visit Genesis of St. Charles today, based on GMA sales records.
Did you know that Creve Coeur Camera is still around? Well, they are, and now they're the Photo Pros. They have one store in St. Louis County. The Photo Pros will help you pick out the best camera for your needs this holiday. And the Photo Pros provide you with the finest in photo finishing, photography classes, and anything photographic, from lenses to tripods. Just Google the Photo Pros in St. Louis or call 314-567-3456 and preserve your history for years to come.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-329-2121, 800-329-2121, 800-329-2121.
This is the time of year where people are doing so much cooking and so much baking and picking up all sorts of different ingredients. I just want to remind you guys about Schnucks branded items. They meet or beat those big national brands when it comes to taste and quality, and they're always going to be less expensive overall. So keep them in mind. If you're making Christmas cookies, if you're making bread, whatever you're making this holiday season, check out the Schnucks branded flour and sugar.
It's the Dave Glover Show. It's the crossover hour. It's got a Gashouse Gang feel to it. Chris Ranji is here. It's KMOX. It's the day after Christmas. There's a lot going on right now. Welcome back in. My name's Matt Pauley. Bernie Miklasz is here. Ron just sticking around for another 15 minutes or so until coming up at the bottom of the hour. Will Leitch is going to join us. Our good friend Will Leitch. We'll talk
Big
a lot
fan.
of things with him. Yeah, everybody's a fan of Will Leitch.
My buddy, man. We do a podcast together on a weekly basis during the actual baseball season, starting in spring training, called Sing Red. We do it periodically during the so-called off season. But yeah, Will's great. Known him forever, love him, and this is great that he's coming on with us today.
Yeah, really looking forward to that conversation. I was concerned about Netflix's ability to produce a couple football games yesterday based off the fact that they completely screwed the pooch on the Tyson fight. And there's been some other live things that they've tried to do from a non-sports realm that they just could not do. But give credit where credit is due. I watched those games yesterday. I had no problem at all. I thought I liked the presentation. I liked everything about it. So if you criticize people for something, I always think that you should say good things about them when they hit it out of the park. And nice job by Netflix yesterday.
The Tyson Paul fight was a nightmare to try and watch, and I'm not even that interested in boxing, and I just wanted to see Tyson and the nostalgia of it, just because he was so great for so long. And I couldn't. It was buffering, and I know it was for a lot of people. But yesterday, thought it was great. They did a really nice job. I know there were some mic problems at the very beginning in the first few seconds of the pregame, but who cares? The games went off great.
I thought the picture quality for both games was superb.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked good. The
Mhm.
presentation was very, very good, outstanding, really. And by every indication, it was a tremendous success. And the fact that Netflix paid 150 million, right? Was it per game or just for both games?
I think both games.
Yeah, 150 million. That was a great investment by them because based on the early reporting, they don't have full numbers out yet, but people are disputing whether they have subscribers in 200 countries. It might be more like 193 or whatever. But of course, everyone's going to get all technical about that. Let's go with their figure. 1/3 of their subscribers in 200 countries tuned in at least to some point of those games.
It's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people around the world.
Huge. It's a huge number.
Massive audiences, and it just shows, man. The NFL is basically taken over everything. Now they can go on Christmas Day and people from all over the world will stop what they're doing to watch NFL football.
You heard what LeBron said after that great game last night. The Lakers and Warriors played a really great game. And Steph was good and LeBron was good. And after the game, lightheartedly, he said, I love the NFL, but this is our day. Christmas
Not
is the
anymore,
NBA's day. And that's the thing, man. NFL, whatever they want to do, whenever they want to do it, they can come right in and dominate. We've talked about this a lot. The top 100 televised programs of the year, every year, like 90% of them are NFL games or some college football games. But the NFL is just an absolute beast.
It's the most powerful entity in television right now. They went at the college football playoff, and the college football playoffs rankings were nowhere near what the NFL got. The NFL is untouchable. And by the way, if you're legacy media, you should actually be really concerned about what happened yesterday because you are hemorrhaging money, and Netflix and all these other streamers have all the money in the world. And not only did Netflix do 2 games yesterday, they threw a Super Bowl halftime show on the second game with Beyonce, which was, they put a lot into that. That's where we're going with all of this. And I could, from a streaming standpoint, when the Cardinals play on Apple TV on Friday night, my text line on Sports Open Line and my phone line is just blowing up with people that are so angry about the idea that games would go to streaming. I've always, other than the fact that there's more streaming outlets, I've never seen much of a difference between what happened when we went from over-the-air TV to cable TV, right. But now there's more things. So obviously there's disposable income that's needed to be able to watch these games. And I'm not trying to make light of that. These are expensive services to buy, but this is where it's going. Games are going to be on streaming.
Jerry Jones, who's not one of my favorite people, although I covered him as a writer for the Dallas Morning News. I covered the Cowboys when he bought the team, so I got to know him really well back then, had some amusing stories. He said it. He was asked on his weekly radio hit at a Dallas station this week, and he said, "Oh no, NFL's we're here to stay on Christmas." He's like this idea, like, "Oh, is this something that you all might consider doing in the future, Jerry?" And he just like laughed at the question. He said, "Oh no, as long as there's a Christmas day, NFL is going to be in the middle of it. You can count on that." So they've destroyed baseball, and we're talking about viewership and interest. They've destroyed baseball. They basically blighted the NBA Christmas Day showcase, which was a really big deal for a long time. And yesterday it was like it didn't even matter. I won't even talk about some of the other sports. College football said, well, no, we're going to expand the playoffs. We don't mind taking the NFL on in these games. We'll do fine. No, you didn't do fine. You did pretty bad, actually. And so now the NFL is emboldened. Now they want to take over Christmas itself. And it's like now you got Jerry Jones in effect declaring war on Santa. And, it's like, well, hey, no, everything's a battleground. We want to take all of it. So they have no problem basically making Americans or people around all over the world completely adjust their Christmas Day routines.
And they know they can get away with it.
Because
they just know it. Think about this. That game last night with LeBron and Steph Curry, 2 of the biggest stars of the last 15 years in the NBA. I would argue probably the 2 biggest.
Yeah.
LeBron is certainly number one, and I think Steph is likely number two. You have these guys reaching the end of their careers. Had it been like Tom Brady against at the end of his career against, I don't know, think of another
Peyton
guy.
Manning,
Peyton Manning going head to head.
Aaron
That would
Rodgers peak form.
as big as LeBron and Steph are.
Yeah.
It didn't draw it had interest, but it didn't draw the same interest that the NFL would have done had they played at that time. It's incredible what they can get away with and what they can do. And they're willing to push it because they know that they'll win.
Not a lot of people bring this comment back up. And I think Mark Cuban's a pretty smart guy. But in 2014, he had this big thing about the NFL where he said pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. And he predicted that within 10 years, the NFL was going to start taking a step back. And now he's the owner of a team in the NBA where those ratings are just tanking and the NFL is surging ahead. I don't think there's anything you can do to slow this down.
No.
And here's one big thing. The games still matter in the NFL. We are in this breaking news, side stories, ESPN first take, everything but the games in all these other sports. Let's argue about Michael Jordan versus LeBron. Let's argue about all these things. Right. We have taken the games and made them mean less and less and less. And that's part of this because we've turned it into a reality show where the NFL, the games still matter.
They do. And the NFL is only going to continue to basically gobble up everything it can and anything it wants to gobble up. It is a confluence of events that all of which feed into the NFL with perfection, where they couldn't have ordered it up any better, which is all these streaming services and the fact that Americans are, gradually and dramatically changing the way they consume television and broadcast. And these streaming services want live programming, and especially if they can get their hands on the NFL, which is going to get millions and millions and millions of viewers no matter what. So they have that. They have a captive audience, a greedy, hungry. These corporations that own streaming services are hungry, greedy. Give us we'll pay you whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have legalized gambling just about everywhere.
That doesn't hurt.
And, it was a big deal back in the day where there wasn't any legalized gambling outside of Nevada. Jimmy the Greek on CBS, the NFL pregame show, Brent Musker, Jimmy the Greek, that was a huge deal. And it was at the time, people were gasping. It's like, wait a minute. He's actually talking about basically who you should bet on. I didn't know that you could do that. And now you can, including our state soon, when it's all set up, you can bet on any NFL game that you want. And people love to gamble on NFL games above all other sports, NFL games. Mm-hmm. So when you've got streaming services saying, give us more, we'll pay you whatever you want. And gambling, the popularity of gambling was already generating revenue indirectly for the NFL.
Yeah.
Now they're in bed with gambling, and everyone's gambling on NFL games. Bigger. What's the end?
It's also fantasy.
Right.
Because everybody has a fantasy team. I know people who don't follow hardly at all. They still have a fantasy team. So, and it's much easier to have one because you could do it just like gambling soon. You could do it online. You can have a friend can set up a league or something and you can all get involved. And everybody has a fantasy team. They're constantly checking their scores. So there's so much interest in the NFL from the outside and from all these other entities that are just bringing eyeballs to it. I just can't ever envision a time where it's not a dominant beast like it is now.
I can't either.
No.
And you got, to your point, Matt, the rest of the week in between games, although sooner or later we're going to have NFL football every single day because they can sell it. Oh, it doesn't matter.
Did they say they're not going to do it on Tuesdays?
It doesn't matter if because we really care about players' safety.
Yeah.
Wink. We'll have the Chiefs play.
Ask them.
We'll have them play 3 games in 11 days. That's fine. Hey, we really want to protect our players. And so they can get away with shameless hypocrisy like that, and nobody cares. It's like, it's too bad. These guys get concussions.
Hey.
When's the next time you're going to have during the middle of the week? Well, tell us what the schedule is,
Wait till they have that 18 game schedule, which they're going to have.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
That's Bernie Miklasz, Chris Ranji. He's going to get out of here. We've got Will Leitch coming up in just a moment or so. In today on the DGS on KMOX.
Broadcasting from the Underlaw Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
Hearing loss only. Results vary. See website for details and important safety information.
Life without hearing aids can be frustrating.
Andy, did you hear what she just said?
No, I'm sorry. What did I miss?
I said I got the promotion that.
I almost said it's a Gray Bar Sports Open Line. It's not. It's the Dave Glover Show on KMOX. I was very close.
This is a takeover, Pauley.
It is. It's a multiple. It's a Gashouse Gang takeover.
We're taking it over.
We're both. You're a former host of Sports Open Line.
Yeah.
I'm the current host of Sports Open Line.
No, we're going to tell Glover, don't come back.
We don't need you. No, that's not right.
No,
we hope
need
that
him,
Dave
actually,
and
very
Kevin
much.
and Rachel and Andrew are having a wonderful holiday period. Happy to be able to go to the guest line right now and welcome in a good friend of both Bernie's and mine. He is Will Leitch. You read him, MLB.com, New York Magazine, all over the place, writing about a bunch of different things, not just sports. And as mentioned, part of the Seen Red podcast with Bernie, which is a fantastic podcast to be able to listen to. Will Leitch joins us. Will, appreciate your time as always. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Happy holidays. Listen, I'm an Illini guy, so Illini won the bragging rights. It's a very happy holiday season in the Leitch household. There's no question.
Yeah, you didn't rub that in too much, did you?
Oh, I was just, I forgot. I guess I forgot the Missouri people listen to this too. Yeah, I guess it was a rough time, but you had a good run, a very technical foul there, but it just didn't pay off. You just don't have the talent of the Illini. But otherwise, hello everyone, happy to come on.
It was a really good game, by the way. I enjoyed it.
It was a great game.
I tried to be Switzerland in that game. It was a really good game. So, can I ask you a question? Because we certainly want to get into some Cardinals talk, but since it's been quite a long time now, you have lived in Georgia, in Athens, Georgia in specific, and you take your sons and your father and, and other family members, you even go to Braves games. Like you take your sons everywhere, and it's great. And I wanted to ask you this because someone brought this to my attention. I said, I'm going to ask Will Leitch this. They're trying to get some kind of historical relevant comparison what the Cardinals are going through now to another team that went through it fairly recently. And this person said, listen, I look at the Atlanta Braves and, from 2014 through 2017, they didn't make the playoffs. They had 3 losing seasons, I think it was. They kind of fell off the map for a while. They went underground to take care of whatever they had to take care of. Do you see a parallel between that situation in Atlanta and then the Braves lived happily ever after, beyond that, once they got through it? Do you see a parallel between that situation and the one in St. Louis?
I would love if the parallel turns out, because I think the way that Atlanta handled it, they did kind of take a step back. I think their setback, if I'm being honest, was probably a little bit more dramatic than I think I expect the Cardinals to take a step back. I think they really kind of hollowed out a little bit by design. But the 2 things that they did right, regardless of how far you step back or not, the 2 things they did right, one, they were able to develop and identify young talent. And most important, this is why the Braves have done to set themselves up. They were able to lock that talent in for an extended period of time. If you look at some of the deals that Ronald Acuna has or Ozzie Albies have, a lot of these guys were locked in at really kind of impressively low rates for a long period of time. They really kind of went at them early and extended them for a long period of time, really before they had fully established themselves as stars. I think people certainly saw what Acuna was going to be capable of doing. But I think that the fact that they extended him before he was able to really kind of start hitting the open market, even start really thinking about a free agency, really helped them and really locked them in and has set them up very, very well. The same thing they did with Albies. That's really the thing with the Cardinals. Everything the Braves did was built around their ability to find and develop young talent. And that's across the board. Look at a guy like Riley on that team. He's a guy that was once a strikeout guy that played good defense and had occasional power, but you really wondered if he would end up just not being able to establish himself. He just struck out too much and didn't hit regularly enough. They worked on that and they fixed it and they made him a big established player. To me, Riley is the guy. If you're looking at players for the Cardinals need to emulate, a guy like Nolan Gorman, that's a guy. They're actually kind of similar players early on in their career, but Riley turned the corner and was able to figure that out. That's the question. If the Cardinals can do that, they can be the Braves. But what the Braves did, sure, they took a step back, but what they really did was the young, talented players that they had, but maybe hadn't fully found themselves or established themselves yet, they figured out a way to do that. And when they did that, they locked them up long term.
It's a parallel then.
Do that, I'll be elated.
Yeah, it's a parallel then, I think. And I'll add something to that in a minute, but Matt wanted to jump in.
To jump onto that, I think it's an interesting comparison, especially when you think about the successes of the franchise. The Braves win 11 consecutive NL East titles, Maddox, Glavine, Smoltz, all the success. They had to sit there and say, we have to do things differently. I think, and Will, I'll get your thoughts on it. The Cardinals, they up until a couple of years ago, not a year ago, they're talking about testing the model, and they finally said the model didn't work. Well, it feels like the Braves just kind of made that recognition maybe a little bit earlier.
Yeah, another thing that we know about the Braves that we don't know about the Cardinals or frankly any other team in Major League Baseball other than the Braves are their finances. The Braves are owned by a publicly traded company, and so we actually are able to see how much money they're bringing in. Every other team in baseball, we just kind of have to guess or just kind of trust them on it. For the Braves, one of the things that's been really interesting, and a lot of observers have noted this, is that the Braves, they're because their books are open, we can see that they're making a lot of money. And listen, they've been successful on something that a lot of teams in baseball have tried, which is the Battery. The Battery is the whole kind of area around their new stadium. They also got a great deal from Cobb County where the stadium is. It's not actually in Atlanta, so they got a great deal for that. But we see their finances, and because of that, they've actually poured that back into the team. I think there's almost been like a public pressure. There was once a thought that because Liberty, which is the name of the company that owns the Braves, is a big company, there was a thought that maybe they wouldn't invest in the team because they're just a big corporation. It's actually been the opposite of that. Because their numbers have been public, there's been a lot of pressure for them to spend a lot of that money on the team, and they've been successful. Now, I understand they also have a currently better television situation than the Cardinals do, and so I think that has something to do with it as well. But I think long term, as much as I think the Braves have been successful and they have a lot of fans down here, I guarantee you this: people still care about college football more. People still care about college football more than they care about the Braves. That's not the case. I don't know anyone that says, I only watch the Cardinals until I'm waiting for Missouri or Illinois football to come back. Like, the Cardinals are the central organizing principle of every Cardinal fan's life. So I think that's an advantage the Cardinals have over the Braves. The question is whether or not that'll be capitalized on.
Will Leitch is with us here on KMOX. You listen to Matt Pauley and Bernie Miklasz substituting for Dave Glover and company today. Will, this is something I wrestle with all the time in terms of the 2025 season and what the expectation should be and what needs to happen for, I'm going to say, reasonable fans to be reasonably satisfied. Because listen, there's always going to be people who are just going to be absolutely furious with the way the Cardinals are doing this. And I listen, people are entitled to their own emotions. I'm not saying anybody's right or wrong, but I think I think Cardinals fans for the most part are really reasonable. And if you explain your plan to them and you're transparent about it, they'll give you a chance to make good on it. Where you said, and you've been a lifelong Cardinals fan, passionately so, and your media responsibilities have nothing to do with that. It doesn't get in the way of that. You're objective about the Cardinals. In your measure, what needs to happen in 2025 for you to be satisfied? Because it's a big step in maybe a multiple phase improvement of the team that might take a while. But what this first step in 2025, what would be satisfactory to you as a Cardinals fan?
I think if at the end of this year, regardless of the record, I think there was a time, particularly, where you wondered, hey, maybe the Cardinals could sneak in the NL Central this year. I kind of feel like the Cubs trading for Kyle Tucker, even though they did trade Bellinger after that, which I think that was unnecessary. And as a Cardinals fan, I'm glad the Cubs are not treating themselves like the juggernaut that they actually are. It's like trading away money. I still feel like the Cubs and the Brewers are clear favorites in the division. And frankly, I think the Reds are ready to make a step forward. So I think the idea of the Cardinals this year, what their record is, I'm trying not to sweat that too much. So I'd rather not lose 100 games. I like them to be halfway decent. If at the end of this year, you look at someone like Nolan Gorman, like Jordan Walker, like Quinn Matthews, even you're looking at those guys and be like, okay, that's locked in now. That's what you need to see from the Cardinals. One of the reasons that this year was so disappointing, if you think of the whole idea of the Cardinals this year, people have forgotten now that heading into the 2024 season, the thing that you were hopeful about was the offense. That was the thing you weren't going to sweat too much because you thought, wow, you've got Arenado and Goldschmidt, and then you've got all these young players ready to take a step forward. Gorman should be ready. Walker was good at the end of 2023, and Newbar just is ready to step forward, and they just spun their wheels. That, to me, what I want to see heading out of the 2025 season, regardless of what the record is okay, Gorman is a guy moving forward. Walker is a guy moving forward. Newbar is a guy moving forward. You have those pieces that you have. Or if they don't take step forward, to no longer account for them being that sort of player. I think Walker and Gorman have superstar potential. I really legitimately think they do. But if the Cardinals can't develop that, or they're unable to take that step forward, we need to stop thinking that way and kind of and pivot in a different direction, or to find out that yes, those are those guys. To me, that's the most important thing for the Cardinals, to figure out who those guys are after this season that you're building around, that you extend, like we're talking about with the Braves. You realize this is a guy that we cannot let go because we now understand he's central to what the Cardinals are going to be for the next half decade. That's a question you need to get answered this year. How many of those guys there are, what the holes are, how the development's coming, whether some of those young pitchers are coming, what you've got. That's what you need to know in the pivot from John Mozeliak to Bloom and kind of the new regime. Who are the guys they're building around, and who are the guys that they need to adjust and no longer count on?
Finish you with this. The biggest story continues to be what's going to happen with Nolan Arenado moving forward. What are your expectations on this? Were you at all surprised when the Cardinals publicly said that they were willing to trade him? And are you surprised that it's continuing to kind of hang out there?
I wasn't really that surprised by either. If anything, I've actually been very pleasantly, maybe not shocked, but a little surprised how Cardinal fans have been pretty cool about it, if I'm being entirely honest, and in a way that's actually hard. It's a hard needle to thread, because a lot of times when you're talking about a player that, you know, has been really the face of the Cardinals for the last few years. I know Goldschmidt won the MVP, but I still feel like Arenado is always among the top selling jerseys still in baseball. He's certainly the most popular and well-known Cardinal. Ordinarily, when a guy is traded like that, when he's still good and he's still got guys, even if he's taking a step backward, there's animosity, right? Or there's this guy never counted, guy never pulled it off. What a disappointment he is. I don't really get that. I'm sure there's, as I said, as you say, Bernie, there's always a lunatic fringe on this sort of stuff. But generally speaking, I feel like this could be a rare sort of trade of a potential Hall of Famer where everyone kind of is cool about and kind of understands, really kind of regardless of what the Cardinals get back. Obviously, I'd like to see the Cardinals maybe eat a little bit more money to be able to get some value back. And I think there's been some signs from what the Astros trade might have looked like that might have happened. But I think that, usually speaking, when there's a big trade like this, and for any team in baseball, everybody gets in their corners and it's a big fight, or the player's seen as a disappointment, or he comes out and says something mean about the organization. None of that has happened, and it doesn't look like that's really going to happen. I would say that's a good sign. Like, for all the frustrations that people have had with the Cardinals organization, the fact that everyone seems to be acting like grown-ups, including the fans in this situation, I'd say I think it's a very good sign moving forward for the Cardinals.
Will Leitch joining us. You can follow along with him on his Twitter account at William F. Leitch. You never know where he's going to pop up from a writing standpoint. It's pretty remarkable the different places he has bylines in, of course, covering baseball, MLB Network. You see him all over the place. So Will, and of course the Seeing Red podcast. Can't forget about that. He and Bernie do that. It's a must listen to whenever it does come out. Will, thank you so much for your time. Hope you had a very Merry Christmas and look forward to talking to you again soon.
Of course. Happy New Year's, everyone.
Take care. That's our friend Will Leitch here on KMOX.
I love your guys' podcast together.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we love doing it.
Yeah.
He's an amazing guy. His work ethic and the number of media platforms he's on. In addition to writing baseball very, very well, and he's a columnist for MLB.com. He's a superb film critic. I mean, he really is. He and his high school friend, who then became, friends at University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana, who's now a very prominent film critic nationally. They do a weekly podcast on film, and it's worth, if you're a movie lover, film watcher, you want some historical perspective, that is a must listen to as well. So just look that out. I think it's just Leitch and Grierson, or Grierson and Leitch. It's outstanding.
We gotta get to a break. I just want to say one for a guy who was the founder of Deadspin, and for that, not that it's a bad thing. It was, especially when he was running it. That was a fantastic site, and the way that they pushed sports media forward was incredible.
Game changer, yeah.
But that he's not known as the Deadspin guy. He's done so many other things that even though he was the creator of something so groundbreaking, what he does now stands on its own merit.
And no doubt about it. A very influential figure is sports media has evolved over the last 20, 25 years.
One more break. We'll come back, wrap up the first hour of the program. It is a Gashouse Gang takeover of the Dave Glover Show. We've got more in a moment on KMOX.
It doesn't matter what they have to climb over, walk through, or move out of the way. All you have to do is point. If it's under the house, in the attic, or in the top of a tree, all you have to do is point.
If it's broken, if it's heavy, if it cannot be explained, all you have to do is point.
We're sending you an expert truck team from the world's largest and most highly trained
full-service junk removal company.
So please, don't try to help them.
To see the magic,
all you have to do
is point.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK
or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
Did you know that your annual eye exam can save your life? That's right. Amy Mark scores here for Ophthalmology Associates. You know, there are certain health conditions that can be discovered early and be more treatable with your complete eye exam. Conditions like high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, thyroid disorder, skin cancer, Parkinson's, MS, and other conditions. That's why it's so important to make your appointment with the Doctors of Ophthalmology Associates. Doctors Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, Andy Royer, and Samuel Berry. You can call them now at 314-
ignorant I am. I mean, when's their bowl?
Oh,
game?
their bowl game.
It's coming up next week, right?
Yeah, next week, I believe. It's an after.
Might be the same day. I'll look it up. But yeah, we'll talk about that. There's a lot to talk about with Mizzou, and we'll get into some good things on Monday. I know
They bring in the transfer quarterback, and it seems like he's got all the intangibles that you want. Bo Pribula, he was the Penn State backup, so he's playing for a really high-level team. They played in the on the adult side of the pool when it comes to NIL because they spent reportedly $1.5 million to get him in. Everything about this sounds like it's going to be a very good get for Mizzou.
Yeah, and I thought Ben Hockman did a great service to people that were wondering about Pribula in terms of like what kind of guy he is, what does he bring to the table, and he talked to his high school coach about just the kind of dude that he is, and he's a really impressive guy, all about the team, wants to be a leader, tough-minded guy, smart guy. He holds teammates accountable. He expects himself to be held accountable. Like in terms of a culture guy, being someone exactly what you want personality-wise in the quarterback position, he checks all the boxes. He gives you the Brady Cook intangibles in flying colors, but he also has, I think he's going to be a better runner than Brady Cook was, because once Brady got banged up, it's not his fault.
Yeah.
It just wasn't as much of a factor. This guy's really good, and I did watch the game where he took over early for Allard, for Allard, the starting quarterback at Wisconsin. He was absolutely fantastic in a tough road game, winning that game and playing very, very well for the Nittany Lions. I think they did very well getting him.
I do too. I think he's going to step in and do a really nice job. I know that there's more important things here, but I feel bad for him personally because he's been part of this Penn State team. He's been the backup quarterback. What a ride they've been on. That ride is continuing on. And he made the right decision. Once Drew Aller says, I'm coming back next season, Pribula's got to go somewhere else if he's going to get the opportunity to be a starter. That just wasn't going to happen at Penn State. But what a bummer for him that he has, you talk about all these intangibles and you're spot on. And now he has to leave his team just so he can find another opportunity for next year. And because of the way the transfer portal works and how the cycle works, he could not remain with Penn State if he wanted to have a starting opportunity somewhere else next year.
Yeah, it's a really tough system. And of course, I'm torn, just like I know you are. Listen, I think athletes should get anything they can, and I think that coaches and others have made mass profits and mass salaries based on what players do, and so I want players to get their cut and to get a generous cut. But it's also, the chaos in the game is ridiculous, and somehow it's got to be streamlined, and they can still get the benefits of everything. I don't want to take anything away from them, but the schedule and some other considerations here are just so untenable and so unrealistic for any kind of continuity whatsoever. There's got to be a way to have the best of both.
And it also comes when you're trying to mix like sports and academia together, and that's still technically what college athletics are, even though we're paying a kid $1.5 million to come be a quarterback at Missouri. But because there is the academic portion connected to this, you have to still abide by an academic calendar, and you still have to get kids enrolled. And there's the ways to get around that. And you can have late enrollees, and you can have classes that start late in the semester, but you're doing that really at that point just to get transfers in. So it's a tough situation all the way around, but at some point you would think they'll probably
no
figure out
easy
something.
answers either.
No, absolutely not. We've got a lot coming up in the next hour of the program. We'll talk a little bit about the Rams settlement money and where that's going to go and what may end up happening. We'll talk some Blues hockey. We'll also do some fun stuff. Day after Christmas, re-gifting presents. Is that appropriate? Is that something you do? Is Bernie re-gifting? Is he just looking at all this junk that he got here over the last few days and saying, you know what, I can go ahead and give this to somebody else? We'll talk about that all coming up. The Gashouse Gang taking over the Dave Glover Show on KMOX.
We sell truckloads of siding, windows, doors, and decking. My name is Julius Krasanik, and I'm celebrating 52 years in this industry. Our company is Wholesale Siding Depot. We have over 200 years of combined siding, window, door, and decking knowledge from our seasoned customer service group. My grandson Elijah says,
"Are you kidding me?"
with just one click to WSDepot.com, that's WSDepot.com, you will find the best brands in the business like Anderson,
at 12 noon on the KMOX social media channels, and then we run it at night at 8 o'clock. I'm generally hosting Sports Open Line between 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock. And Bernie, we haven't even mentioned this yet, but certainly want to continue to plug what you've got going on with the Bernie Show on YouTube. The really cool thing about this, I think, for St. Louis sports fans is it's about as easy way possible for people to get very up to date and very educated about single sports topics in kind of a quick amount of time, 20 to 30 minutes. You're doing all the research, you're giving your take, and all the big stories that hit St. Louis sports, you're talking about on a daily basis.
You know, I would liken it to this, and you go to youtube.com/ the Bernie Show. And it's like, it's almost as if like I'm reading a column that I wrote, except it's a little more fluid, a little more freelancing in there. You know, I ramble sometimes, I admit that. But for those who used to like listen to me on the radio, and I was known for doing longer segments, you know, I would tell people, if you like the radio show, listen, you're going to get an in-depth segment every time. Sometimes it'll be 15 minutes, sometimes it'll be 20, sometimes it'll be 25. Sometimes I've gone as long as 40, 43 minutes. But it's going to have all kinds of information in it. And I'm never offended if somebody tells me it's too long, because first of all, you can fast forward it. You can do that. You can also listen to it at a faster speed.
Do you do that? Do you listen to stuff? No.
But I'm still trying to figure this out. Like I'm going to roll some new stuff out in 2025. And some of that will be a change in the length of those, because I think 40 minutes, 35 minutes is too cumbersome. I think I'm trying to hit that sweet spot, maybe 22 minutes, 23 minutes, something like that. That flies by as long as the content's good.
One of the things I really appreciate about you, and I'm not calling you old, but you're older than me.
I am old.
You said it, not me. You have been able to, from the moment I first consumed Bernie Miklasz content, you have been ahead of the curve. And it started, I think, with the Bernie's press box at STL Today, and you were interacting with people before Twitter existed, which is an incredible thing. And it goes to now where you're at in your career. You have transformed to creating your own content on YouTube, but your entire arc, I think, has been really interesting when it comes to how you've created content.
I always sense that things are going to change, because things always do. So it would be naive to think things are not changing in the newspaper business or the radio business or the TV business. So I always try to stay one step ahead of it, or at least get on the next wave, get on that wave early. But you know, situation, you're right. I hosted an online forum at a time where they didn't even exist. And I had friends across the country saying, "You're crazy. Why are you doing that? What are you trying to achieve by this?" Because I've read it, you know, people are in there calling you names and they're getting all nasty, and you're mixing it up with them, and you're talking with them, and you're getting feisty. Like, what? Why do you do that? You know, in other words, it's like they're trying to tell me you need to stay above that. And I'm like, no, this is where it's headed. So you better do it too. And a couple of my friends around the country tried, and they couldn't take it. And they ran away from it. So I'm like, no, this is it. What I always also like too, sports radio has always been a parallel career for me from the very beginning. Like, there was a time, I can't tell you there, but it all of a sudden became fashionable. Sports writers were going on radio.
Yeah.
And so people would say to me, like, well, you're part of this movement, sports writer. And I'd go like, no. I had my first big city newspaper job in 1981. And later that year, I also started at WBAL in Baltimore, the Orioles flagship station, as a part-time talk show host who would also host a show on my own every Friday night. And we go through from the first day that I had a so-called major market newspaper job. I also had a major market radio show. You're right. I was way, way ahead of the time on that one. Now, all due respect, Bob Bragg and Bob Burns started at KMOX when they were both legendary columnists in St. Louis. They started doing Sports Open Line before anybody was even putting on sports talk programming. I mean, they were the true pioneers, and that should never be forgotten.
No, and I think being here at KMOX, we hear those names all the time, which is important. I've told you, I think, half of this story, but I'll tell you the other half of it, and maybe people listening have heard part of it. So growing up, I loved reading you on Bernie's press box, and I would literally go to it and I would click your screen name so I could just go see all your posts because I wanted to know what you thought about things and the interactions you were having with people. So I wasn't really a participant in it, but I would just read your post. So I'm in college at Kansas State. I graduated K-State in 06, so 04, 05, somewhere in there. And I'm in a community journalism class. And I remember publishers from small town newspapers across Kansas came into our class one day to talk to us about small town newspapering. And obviously it's very different than what happens here, but we were all talking and I mentioned your forum in this thing, and all these publishers start asking me questions about it because they were so interested in the idea of their writers being able to interact with readers. Now, in Hayes, Kansas, it's going to be in Goodland, Kansas, it's going to be a whole lot different than in St. Louis. But to your point of what you just said, that wasn't happening previously.
No, not at all. And I am proud of that. I don't mean to be insufferable bragging about it, but I am proud of that. I've always tried to see, okay, what's the next thing? What do I need to do? I think relatively speaking, I was on Twitter pretty early too. So, if anything, I'm late to doing YouTube. My wife, bless her, has been telling me for 2 or 3 years to do it. And I never recognized what the possibilities were, so with the YouTube channel, even though thankfully it's going really, really well. But I was slow to that party. So that's the one time I think I was behind the curve.
We've got some really good people in the market that are really doing exclusively YouTube stuff. Charlie Marlowe does a lot of YouTube stuff. Brendan Schaefer does a lot of, and we've had them on Sports Open Line. It's a way to control your own content. And in a world where media, you don't know what's going to happen when you walk through a door at a place like this on an everyday basis. You're able to control some of it on your own.
And I'm outspoken. I don't hold back. I don't think I hold back anywhere. And, there were some people when it was announced I was coming back to KMOX. And I just can't stand this, but I understand it in a way. People are assuming, oh boy, you watch, he won't be saying this stuff because that's the flagship station. I've said everything I've wanted to say on here. And you know what? So do all you other guys. That I got to stick up for KMOX. There's just there's always this feeling out there that somehow we pull our punches or we hold back. I've seen no evidence of that since I came back. And I've said exactly what I wanted to say. I didn't have Steve Moore or anyone saying, hey, maybe tone it down just a little. No, absolute free to say whatever I want to. So I'm proud of that too. On behalf of all of us, people should not stereotype the sports staff at KMOX. I just think it's wrong.
I need to do a better job of letting stuff just kind of roll off my back. People will say stuff to me on social media and I have to respond or I get upset by it. And I need to do a better job with that.
You care. It shows you're not arrogant. So that's good.
I'll be honest. Social media comments at times absolutely do bother me and I'll take them home with me and things like that. So it's a tough thing to be that kind of way in this business. But one of the things that really does bother me, people will say, oh, you're just carrying water for the team. Exactly. Or you're a homer. What did the Cardinals tell you to say today?
Exactly. So you know what? Long after you and I are gone from KMOX and you're a young guy, so you got a long way to go. That'll still be the case. It'll be the case 50 years from now if KMOX and the Cardinals are still partners in radio.
Sometimes I try to go down the path of
lazy.
Why is this being? I think there's more to it though, Bernie. I think that we're living in this hot take atmosphere where people want to create 30-second videos and get them to go viral on social media. And that's what people see all the time. So you want to see somebody yelling and screaming and ranting and raving. And bluntly, that's not what we do here at KMOX. We assess the situation. We say whether it's good, whether it's bad, if it's bad, why it's bad, what can happen, how you can fix it. We go down all of those pathways. And I'll be critical of Oliver Marmol. There are a lot. My God, stop bringing in the infield in the first inning with a runner on third and less than 2 outs. I hate that. There are many things that I am critical of him about that I don't like, but I think he's a really good manager all at the same time. And people just don't want to hear when I do criticize him.
And we've talked about this on Gashouse Gang. I've been really hard on Ollie, right? But I also think he did a good job last year. And I thought he was brilliant his handling of the bullpen. But as soon as I say, which of course I back with facts, a preponderance of facts about you don't have a bullpen as great as that one was last year unless the manager knows what he's doing. It just doesn't happen by accident. people are like, oh, there you go again. You're in the tank for the Cardinals. Really? But what? Here, I'll give you Ollie's mobile number. Not really. And get in touch with him and ask him about that. Like, ask him how many times he has felt the sting of me just shooting an arrow, metaphorically speaking. I don't hesitate to rip anybody, but I also believe in praising when it's warranted.
Right. Yeah.
But there's some people who are so far gone. They're so deranged. You can't, if I spend like 10 things and I rip Ollie Marmol, right? The 10th thing I say, but he's done a great job of running the bullpen. Unacceptable that you would find anything positive to say. I can't live in that world. If you want to be a lunatic, go ahead. I don't have to join you.
We're going to switch gears and talk with Alicia Sanye. She is a Ward 7 alderwoman, co-sponsor of a bill on how to use the Rams settlement money. Why does she want the money to be used in the way that she wants it to be used? We'll ask her coming up in just a moment. It is a Gashouse Gang takeover of the Dave Glover Show on KMOX.
The voice of St. Louis. News that matters to you. KMOX.
Thanks, Bob. We're here with Doug.
and has good opinions, and he's got a great feel for baseball, and he'll be all over it. So I'm looking forward to him. Ben Fred brought a really great touch to the sports column at the Post-Dispatch because he was very thoughtful. He did go out of his way in a good way to tell stories off the so-called beaten path. Ben Hochman does that very well too. And I thought Ben Fredrickson was going to be the sports columnist at the Post-Dispatch for a very, 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 very long time. And I know that he went into it with that idea in mind. And I think the more I thought about him deciding to step down to take a really good job, right? The more I think about it, the more it's like I shouldn't be surprised because as much as he loves sports writing and covering games and teams that people love and care about, your life changes when you have a child. Your life changes when you're happily married and you're raising a family. And listen, I'm not complaining because I've done this since the late 1970s, but it's really hard to have a steady home life. You know this.
Yes.
You're at the ballpark every night. If you cover a team, or even if you're a columnist at certain paper, you're on the road half the year. Even when you're home, if it's baseball season, even if you're home, you're not really home because writers, you need to get to the ballpark at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. If your wife is working, your kids are at school, they don't see you during the day. And by the time you're done at midnight, they're already asleep. It's really, really tough on a family. And listen, by the way, there are a lot of jobs like that. In no way am I saying this for sympathy. I'm just trying to give you an understanding. In fact, one of the reasons I quit the Post-Dispatch is because I could no longer take traveling. I could no longer take nights at the ballpark and the arena year round. It wasn't fair to my wife. And I just thought, I need to have a lifestyle change. So part of me thinks, and I haven't talked to Ben about it, but I think I know that it was such a deeply moving experience when he started a family with his wife that I don't think this is to his credit. He's a thoughtful, sensitive guy. I don't think he wanted to spend the rest of his life sitting in press boxes all the time away from his family. And that's a choice that people are entitled to make. And I may be out of line. That may not be at all, but I'm pretty sure that had something to do with it. But the relationship between sports columnists and in certain cities in particular, and St. Louis is one of them, you really get a chance to be close to your readers and to be part of their lives through the sports lens. It's all a shared experience, and you kind of speak for them. You address their concerns. You address their feelings. You let them know that you hear them. Sometimes you disagree and spar with them. That's okay too, because it's a shared passion. But I think the role of a prominent sports columnist, and especially a city like St. Louis, there has been an incredible legacy. I followed in the footsteps of Bob Rigg, Bob Burns, and they mentored me when I was a young columnist. Kevin Hargan, on and on and on. And then it was my turn to carry the torch. Burwell came along. Joe Strauss came along. They passed away way too soon and tragically. And then I think Hochman and Fredrickson have been really good and doing the column their own way.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be done the way it was done before. Like I wasn't writing the same type of style that say Mr. Bragg and Mr. Burns did, right? So you have to develop your own voice. And I think these generations of columnists there have been able to develop their own voice and do it their way rather than trying to be like someone who came before them in terms of style.
Do you ever think about how it's changed though, in the sense that, and I'm not trying, I think they're both really talented, both Hochman and Fredrickson. Bernie, there was a point in time, and you recently told your Mike Keenan story, and I hope people heard it on your channel. And that had to do with your impact and the words you wrote and what they carried. I think, look, the person who was hosting Sports Open Line 20 years ago, that was a louder bullhorn than it probably is today. Media has changed. There's more outlets. Same things have changed here, where the words you write are different now in the way that they can impact.
And there's this is long before social media and is long before a lot of things. And you could break stories back then, and I was fortunate to break a lot of big ones. And I don't know that I would have had that opportunity in today's media climate, because there's just so much information. There's so many ways to put information out there. some of it done responsibly, some of it, frankly, irresponsibly. But the fact is, newspaper people and who work really hard to get stories could get stories and be alone with those stories and break those stories where people wake up. I know it's like a relic of the past to talk about this. They could wake up and it's like on page 1A of the Post-Dispatch and they're like, what? And they're like, no one anywhere else even had a whiff of it, I'm not saying those days are completely over, but you said it. It's changed so dramatically that it's just a different game now.
I want to get into that a little bit more coming up later on. We're going to take a break now because Cam Jansen's going to join us in just a moment, and
Excellent.
we'll talk St. Louis Blues with him. But I think it is interesting. I'm still a Post-Dispatch digital subscriber.
Me too.
But I recently made the switch to not even get the Sunday paper anymore. There's like the coupons aren't there. And now that they're going to be publishing out in Columbia, late breaking sports coverage isn't going to be in that. So we'll talk more about it coming up in the 3:00 hour, the changing landscape and how publications can keep up with it. But we'll switch gears and talk a little St. Louis Blues hockey in just a moment. It is the Gashouse Gang, a takeover of the Dave Glover Show. More in a moment here on KMOX.
Hi, this is Debbie Monterey. Join me and my co-host Kevin Short of Clayton Capital Partners for the Business of Family Business Saturdays at 2.
Join us. We interview many St. Louis business owners and families and learn a lot and have a good time.
So many interesting stories of passing a business along to the next generation or not, and some great tips as well. It's the Business of Family Business here on the Voice of St. Louis, KMOX, Saturdays at 2.
Winter Wonderland, presented by St. Louis County Parks and Byerly RV at Tillis Park, is open now through December 30th. Enjoy more than 1 million dazzling lights with holiday characters and festive scenes while listening to your favorite Christmas songs. Whether you're carrying on a family tradition or starting a new one, you'll never see anything like Winter Wonderland at Tillis Park. More at KMOX.com. Happy holidays from Quality Waterproofing, Wash U Orthopedics, Rawlings Sporting Goods, Telly Tire.
Miklasz is here. Thanks so much for spending some time with us today. We're going to do this again tomorrow as well. Hopefully you are enjoying it. You can always chime in at 314-436-7900. Very happy right now to bring in Cam Jansen. You hear him on doing Blues games. You, of course, have him as part of the Cam and Strick podcast. He and Andy Strickland do just a fantastic job on that. You want to talk about great hockey conversations, you get it right there with the Cam and Strick podcast. And Cam Jansen joins us right now on the program. Cam, thanks for taking some time. How are you?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Not much. We're glad to have you.
Yeah, by the way, Cam and Strick podcast was a groundbreaker in St. Louis. That thing's essential listening. You must listen to it. But it goes back a long ways now. I mean, they were, like I said, they were like early on the ground with that, at least in this market. And it's as good as any hockey podcast on a local level. It's as good as any in the National Hockey League. You can tell me a city or market, as Tony La Russa would say, tied for first. There's none better than what Cam and Strick do. I'm serious.
Well, it's rated R, just so everybody knows. If you're with the kids in the car, you might have to turn it down a little bit. But no, we got that. We started that thing right after they won the cup, and we saw Spit and Chicklets and what they were doing, and we're like, let's get on this while we can, and it's worked out. But it's not easy, You know how you guys go through it too, like booking guests and doing this and dealing with sponsors, and it's a job for sure.
Who is the guest? Because it seems like you guys can get anybody you want based off the guest list that we see. Who's the person that you want to get that is yet to be on the podcast?
Oh, there's a lot, man. There's a lot, Like we want the guy, let's see, like some of the Russians, maybe, like Pavel Bure. We're trying to get Fedorov. Maybe an Alexander McGill. The Russians always do great because they have the most hardcore stories and they don't care and they'll say anything. So, but they're also, a lot of them are working over in Russia and stuff like that. And maybe even what's going on right now too, just to hear their side of stuff. Who else? We usually get we're pretty good at getting who we need to get. Maybe the guy that's really controversial, like right now, it'd probably be pretty good to get maybe a Robin Leonard on again. He's saying some crazy stuff on Twitter. Or like, what do you, I think he even tweeted out, hey, anybody want to do a podcast? And I'm sure he's got about 50 of them that signed up for him. But yeah, there's some interesting guys out there for sure. And maybe we will veer off and get maybe non-hockey guys on eventually too. It's just hard to get their numbers.
Cam, Bernie, Miklasz, and again, thanks for doing this with us. We appreciate you very much. Talk about the differences in the Blues since Jim Montgomery took over. There's been some pretty dramatic improvement in some areas.
Oh, there's improvement in a lot of areas. Listen, even the way Monty is, just to watch him on the plane around the guys, like he'll be sitting on the plane and he'll have his, just looking at different highlights and stuff like that. He'll start bursting out laughing. He'll get up, he'll walk right down the hall to Zachary Bolduc, sit right next to him, show him a clip, laugh, just the way his interactions are in front of everybody, the way his his emotion and his energy level and practice, like there's just a huge difference. And he's not trying to do a million things at a time. He picks out a couple little things to work on after each, game, basically. You never want to overwhelm all the players, but just his day-to-day interaction with the guys. It's very unique. It's very uplifting. It's very motivating. And if I'm a player, I'm just kind of like looking at it like if I was a player, he always gives you a wink or a tap on the back or something. Like little things like that really, really add up. And they're listening to him right now. They really are. But they do have a lot of work to do, man. Like they got to, you have to win games. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to be about 8 or 10 games over 500 to even think about being in the playoffs. So they got some work to do.
Yeah, and they're in a period right now where up until their really good win against the Red Wings, they had lost 5 of their last 6. Now there was a good performance in there against the Florida Panthers where they lost in overtime, but that was the kind of effort you're looking for more often than not. What can Montgomery do, and what does this team do to make sure that the things that led to Craig Berube being let go and the things that led to Drew Bannister, although those part of Montgomery being available, but just that some of these red flags that have gone up by this same core group, that those things don't start to pop up again?
You have to find a way to get the most out of these guys every single night. And the schedule's been so hardcore. Like it really has. And I've been a part of that too. And you don't even realize, I forgot how hard the travel was. And don't get me wrong, the boys have it way better than we did even 10, 15 years ago. Like they really do. The plane's nicer, how everything kind of sorted out, the food, the hotels are nicer, the rinks are nicer, everything's nicer for them. But man, I remember me and Jamie Rivers just sometimes sit there and we're like, we haven't moved off the tarmac in an hour and a half. Like, what's going on? Like, is it snowing? Like, what is it? Like, just all of a sudden you have delays. It's just all of a sudden you get into Dallas. It's 2:00 in the morning. You can't sleep. I'm like, man, if I was playing tomorrow, I'd be really tired. I forgot how hardcore this is. I'm just doing radio. But look, so for a coach to try to get energy, as much energy on a night-to-night basis as he can. All these teams are skilled. It's who can draw the most energy out of these players consistently. Like, seriously, that's what it is. It's such a damn grind to where can you get the best out of your players more than another coach can get the best out of their players. You saw the way that Lalonde the other night in Detroit, if you were watching that game, they had nothing. They had nothing. That team they had no spark, no emotion, no hits, no anything. You're like, what is, the Blues just walked all over him because Monty's on the bench. He's talking to this guy. He's doing this. He's doing that. Like, so sometimes it's a wake up call when you start going back on the road with these guys. Like, yeah, it's a grind. And Monty as a whole does a really good job of just getting the most energy on a consistent basis with these guys.
Cam Jansen's with us on KMOX, the Dave Glover Show, taken over today by Matt Pauley and Bernie Miklasz. Cam, I want to ask you like a couple specific things, like in terms of the change under Monty. Like, I'll give you something just to give you the number I'm talking about. In the 14 games he's led the Blues, they've been giving up an average of about 1.6 goals per 60 minutes at 5-on-5. That's the best rate in the National Hockey League. Like, they are doing a great job of keeping the puck out of their net. And it's not just the goalies, although they have a lot to do with it. But the Blues were kind of bleeding in that area before the change, and they were bleeding in the high danger areas. And it seems like Monty has made this team much tighter defensively. And the Blues, once they were once being controlled in the high danger areas, both ends of the ice. Now they're the ones doing the controlling in the high danger areas. What has he done specifically to tighten up that club defensively, but also to where they take control of that territory in front of the net?
Well, they backtrack. You can tell, like, if they turn the puck over, Kyrou, even Thomas will stop on a dime and backtrack in the neutral zone just to help the D out. But look at the Blues D. Like, I think of Cam Fowler. Like, he's pretty good. You know, no one really talks about him. He was in Anaheim. And now you have Parayko, Broberg, Falk, Fowler, and now you got Ryan Suter who can still play. Now he's with Tyler Tucker or whoever you want him to be with on that third pairing. Like, now you get, you know, you don't have Ryan Suter playing 26 minutes anymore. Cole Parayko is having a hell of a year. It's hard to get around. Jordan Kyrou stopping on a dime in the offensive zone when he turns the puck over and goes as fast as he can all the way back to backtrack just to look at the D so the D can be like, okay, I can make a move on this guy. Like, that's what happens. So they're really implementing that in practice. And if they don't do that in practice, Monty will shut it down and call everybody in, yell at them real quick in a good, motivating way, get back to it, no mistakes, make sure you do everything the right way. So you kind of see it on a day-to-day basis with Monty and what they're doing and what they're trying to do. And just watching these games, like, just the Blues have pretty good defense, and everybody's like, they're older. Well, yeah, but they can still play. Colton Parayko and Broberg try to get around them. I haven't seen much of that. Maybe when we played Edmonton and some of the guys kind of snuck around them here and there, and McDavid and whatnot, but whoa, it's hard to get around those two. It really is. They got good defense.
Dylan Holloway had a hat trick against Detroit. By the way, Detroit fired their coach today too. So what you just mentioned, I think everybody saw. So that helped lead to that. But Holloway had the hat trick. We spent so much of the first part of the season talking about Philip Broberg, but really recently, when we think about those offseason acquisitions, Holloway has really come into his own. What have you seen from him that's led to his recent uptick?
Goes 100 miles an hour. He just works hard. He never stops moving his feet. He's got a great shot. He's got good hockey sense. Is he going to toe drag you and dipsy doodle? Nah, but he'll just outwork you. And he's quick. His first 3 steps are fast. You know, he's just kind of ballsy out there. Like, he'll go run into guys. He'll block a shot. He'll do this. And you know the guys that are like that and you know the guys that aren't like that. So he's got a little bit of skill. He's got he works hard, which is very, very noticeable. He's quick and he's got a good shot. And so you put all that together and he gets some minutes, like, he's going to score some goals. And he does. Anytime he gets the puck, like, he rips the shot. The little one-timer there a day where Fowler just opens up. Now, Cam Talbot was not very good that night in Detroit, but, you know, you take a one-timer from 40 feet out, it goes bar down. Like, okay. Then he gets a quick shot right in the slot, goes bar down. Like, he's just good. He's a good player. Thank you, Edmonton. Way to be unorganized over there in that organization.
No
Thank
doubt
you
about
very much for those two.
I know, Army, man. What a grand theft act of grand theft. Two grand thefts.
So funny. It's you know what? I don't feel sorry for Edmonton.
No.
I mean, how many first picks overall do you want? You know what I mean? But you had your chance. You got McDavid. You got Draisaitl. I don't feel sorry for you at all.
Last thing for you, real quick, Cam, and you mentioned just the grind of the schedule. As we see the NFL going into Christmas Day and NBA plays Christmas Day, do you get a sense that NHL players appreciate the fact that the league shuts down for a few days around Christmas?
Yeah, sure. You know, but I don't feel sorry for the guys that have to play on Christmas Day either. You know, you're the main attraction on one of the biggest days, you know, of the year. Like, you're the guy. That's why you get paid a ton of money to perform, so everybody watches you. You know, have your Christmas on the 27th then. You know what I mean? So when people are like, I can't believe they're playing on Christmas. Who cares? It's good for us. They're entertainers, and we watch them.
Fair enough.
You know what I mean? Entertain me on Christmas. But it is nice to have the guys they actually have an extra day now. And most people now, to be honest with you, they don't travel home. I used to get stuck in Jersey, in Newark Airport, in Chicago, delayed, trying to get home for 12 hours to see my family. And you're just stuck. It's always something. So a lot of guys just chill. They'll go to like Braden Shin's house, Justin Falk's house for Christmas and stuff like that. So they don't have to worry about the travel and how much of a pain in the ass it is.
He is Cam Jansen. You hear him doing Blues games. He also is a co-host of the Cam and Strick podcast, like we said earlier, an absolute must listen. Cam, thanks for the time. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Hope to get you on again soon.
Yeah, anytime, guys. Merry Christmas.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Very good. Cam Jansen joining us here on the program. We appreciate him spending a few moments. He was good.
He's good. He's always good. He's got something to say. You know, the one thing, do we have time to say this? We got to take a break.
About 30 seconds.
The one thing, the biggest transformation under Jim Montgomery, when Drew Bannister was the coach at 5-on-5, the Blues were scoring 42% of the goals, right? Since Montgomery's taken over at 5-on-5, they're scoring 56% of the goals. That is
practice offense, Bertie.
That is massive, massive difference.
Yeah.
And it's because of the goal prevention, number one. They still got to score some more goals.
But they actually work on offense in practice now.
But what a before and after picture.
Yeah.
You know.
Great number.
Yep.
This is the Gashouse Gang in for the Dave Glover Show on KMOX.
With the weather changing, the conditions of that weather changing, it can affect your eyes. So they need to be in great condition. And the best thing to do is go visit our friends at Ophthalmology Associates. Chris Ranji here, and I visited Dr. Ranjan Malhotra to have my eye exam. Dr. Greg Birdie is wonderful, Robert Brusati, Andy Royer, and now Samuel Berry, part of the crew. All of them are great. They are the doctors for a reason. Over 250 doctors in the St. Louis area go to Ophthalmology Associates to get their eyes checked out. And they can treat anything. They are experts in diagnosis and treatment of all diseases of the eye. That includes LASIK procedure if you are a candidate for that. What you want to do is give them a call. 314-966-5000. That's 314-966-5000. They are located at 12990 Manchester Road, just a half mile east of 270. Very easy to get to. Also, their website, youridoc.com.
Don't let cold season make you miserable. Try the quick, drug-free solution for nasal congestion, Navage. Navage uses gentle suction to flush out your sinuses with refreshing saline, helping you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier all winter long. And here's even better news. Navage is now available at select warehouse clubs in a great new value pack. It's everything you need to start breathing better fast. Check out Navage at your local retailer today. Navage, Navage, breathe easy.
You know, as they say, one person's personal information is another person's treasure.
Exactly. That's why I use NordVPN every time I surf the web. Features like Threat Protection Pro's safeguard devices from phishing websites and disable intrusive ads and trackers. Just check NordVPN.com, grab the deal, and see for yourself. NordVPN. Cybersecurity built for every day.
Happy holidays from all of us at the Audiology Center, where hearing is our passion.
Happy holidays to you, Dr. Colleen Bosler, and everyone at the Audiology Center. You have some important information for our listeners as we approach the end of the year and the holidays.
At the end of the year, all the new hearing aid companies come out with their models for the next year. And oh my gosh, Charlie, there have been major advancements in technology. just in time for the holidays. With so many social gatherings around this time, you want to be able to hear and enjoy visiting with loved ones. You don't want to miss out this holiday season, so please call today and make an appointment so you can hear better tomorrow.
Dr. Colleen Bosler at the Audiology Center. Folks, the Audiology Center has 3 convenient locations: St. Peter's, Creve Coeur, and Florissant. Make a reservation today, 636-441-7470 or the audiologycenterstl.com.
KMOX KEZK HD2 St. Louis.
The home of the Cardinals. KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
It is 3 o'clock in mid-America. We've got clouds, 54 degrees downtown at the Arch. A St. Louis County councilman is facing a nepotism charge again.
St. Louis County prosecuting attorney Wesley Bell first raised the issue of nepotism against County Councilman Dennis Hancock in August, but dropped the court filing before Thanksgiving. Bell is now revealing audio of a phone call that County Councilor Dana Redwing had with Hancock.
It came to my attention that you appointed Holly Galati as your administrative assistant.
That's right.
Okay, is she your daughter?
She's my stepdaughter.
Okay.
There's no blood relation there. And I've never adopted her or anything like that.
Bell says the hiring of the stepdaughter.
We are filing our quo rento, and according to the law, he should be removed immediately.
Bell's filing says Hancock tried to cover up the hire by having a county employee change the status of his stepdaughter's job application from hired to rejected. Stuart McMillan, KMOX News.
NATO is offering support to Finland and Estonia after an underwater power cable linking the two countries was severed. BBC European editor Paul Moss reports this incident is thought to be part of a larger problem involving Russia.
This is the 3rd time it's happened in about a month. In November, 2 cables, one going from Germany to Finland, the other going from Sweden to Lithuania, both broke. And on that occasion, it was a Chinese ship which just happened to be passing overhead at the moment when the cable snapped. So what they're suggesting, quite simply, is a program of sabotage.
Azerbaijan is observing a nationwide day of mourning for the victims of a plane crash that killed 38 people. Correspondent Cammie McCormick says that speculation is mounting about the Russians being behind it.
There are many theories, including Russian air defenses. A U.S. official says early indications are a Russian anti-aircraft system may have struck the plane. Some experts allege there are holes in the plane's tail section, but weather had forced the plane to change its planned course. Russia initially blamed a bird strike and now says it's too early to draw any conclusions.
Nobody's stocking contained a $1 billion Mega Millions ticket, which means today's jackpot or tomorrow's jackpot is worth an estimated $1.15 billion. These people already have their tickets.
Everyone has a dream where, hey, if I win, what am I going to do with all the money?
If I win, I'm buying people out. I'm buying businesses. I'm buying up blocks. I'm buying an island.
Only 3 Mega Millions jackpots have been won this year, which is the fewest they have ever awarded in a year. The KMOX business desk were eating out more.
MasterCard users were letting restaurants do more of the cooking in the 7.5 weeks leading up to Christmas. The company's Spending Pulse report found restaurant spending rising 6.3% from November 1st through Christmas Eve. That's compared to year-ago levels. Overall, retail spending on MasterCard cards grew 3.8%. Tracy Jonke, Bloomberg Radio.
Let's get an update of the St. Louis Business Index from Stifel.
Good afternoon, Michael. Hello, everyone. A low volume, rather sleepy trading day on Wall Street as financial markets turned in a mixed performance. At the close of trading, the Dow Jones Industrial Average had gained 28 points to 43,325. The Standard & Poor's 500 index had a modest loss of 2 points at 6,037, while the NASDAQ Composite Index fell 11 points to 20,020. Locally, the Bloomberg St. Louis Stock Index, the best performing index today, gained 0.75% to 1,546. Checking on stocks of local interest, Boeing gained 0.6% to $180.38. Build-A-Bear Workshops added 4.4% to $47.94. Stiefel Financial up 0.4% at $107.72. On the downside, Peabody Energy fell 1.2% at $19.81, while Bunge Corporation lost 1.3%. They closed at $78.06. For KMOX, this has been Scott Bedell from Stifel Financial. Stifel is a member of the New York Stock Exchange and SIPC. For more information on our firm, we invite you to visit our website at stifel.com.
We've got a crash on 6440 going east at 270, and that's got the left lane closed there. Cleared out some road work on Lindbergh going north at Huntley Woods.
Still seeing some spots of light rain and drizzle. Obviously, lots of clouds around. 53 for the high. Tonight, here comes the next storm system. It's not a big one, but it will bring periods of a steady light rain developing fairly quickly tonight. 47. Friday, periods of a steady light rain. Let's focus on the morning. Lots of clouds Friday afternoon at 58. Rest of the holiday weekend, Saturday, clouds. A few showers, but no all-day rain. 62. Sunday, partly sunny and a nice 58. I'm meteorologist Dave Murray for the Voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
We've got 54 in St. Peters, 53 in Florissant, 54 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
You're listening to The Dave Glover Show, sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts. IGotFloor.com.
The Gashouse Gang is taking over the Dave Glover Show. Welcome back in. I'll tell you what, it is the day after Christmas, and she deserves so much credit for not just joining us, but coming in studio and being with us. She is Alderwoman of Ward number 7, Alicia Sanye. I want to talk a little bit about the Ram settlement money. Alicia, thank you so much. Merry Christmas. Welcome in, and thank you for coming in day after Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thank you for having me.
Part of the new generation.
Absolutely.
The Board of Aldermen, really. And it's, we were talking during the break. I live in the 28th Ward. We do, and there's been changes there, younger generation moving in. And
it's the 12th. I think it's the 10th Ward now.
Yeah. Again, the fact they change the numbers around has got an old guy like me confused.
Only 14 now.
But all I know when I'm, keep monitoring the news, it's like, man, every election it gets young. The Board of Aldermen gets younger and younger and younger. And I think that's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I'm 29, and so I'm the youngest one of us. And when I got elected, I was 27. And it certainly is nice. And I think ideally a board should be a balance. I think you want to have some younger members. You want to have the group of population you hope to attract, but you also want to have some older people who have experience in historic information and knowledge.
See, that's the only reason why I work at KMOX. I said, we've got to get an old guy in here. Like, got that old brain, can tell you about things in the 60s and whatever. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
People have been waiting to see what's going to happen with the Ram settlement money. This is something that's been going on for a while. Seems like, I don't know if starts and stops is the right way to say it, but certainly a lot of people have had a lot of opinions about it. You are co-sponsor of bill number 153.
Bill sponsor,
excuse me. And can you talk to me a little about the long-term goals for people who don't know what is involved in this bill, what that would look like if that does move forward?
Absolutely. So Board Bill 153, which is called Transform St. Louis Act, is a bill that I'm the primary sponsor of. And then President Green is a co-sponsor. And when we filed it, we did a big press conference where the mayor was there as well. And so I've had the honor of chairing a process called Committee of the Whole that involves every alder plus someone from the mayor's office, plus someone from the comptroller's office, plus someone from the president's office. So for over a year, we've been having these monthly meetings from a program, a software that we launched as a city for the first time that basically allowed residents to submit ideas themselves. So every idea came from residents. And then the phase 2 was that every resident got 20 tokens and they got to vote on it. And then we also put paper applications in the libraries, and we also did some canvassing. So we wanted to kind of be able to address the digital divide. And then from that, you end up getting Transform St. Louis. And so think of Transform St. Louis as 3 primary buckets. The first bucket is infrastructure, and that would be $40 million to the water department, $60 million to streets and sidewalks. The second bucket is the people's bucket. And there's 2 primary components of that. One is a early child care pilot program, sort of. And the second one is a post-secondary support for starting off with city employees. If you want to go to trade school or college, whatever, if you went to a high school in the city and you want to pursue further options. And then the third bucket is a development bucket. It's a housing and development bucket. So $70 million is going to go to think of vacant structures and developing and building housing and home repair programs, really all dedicated to the housing within the city of St. Louis. And how do we create what we don't have, what we know we have a need of, and how do we create opportunities to sustain residents in the homes they are in? And then the second bucket bucket is $30 million, and that is for neighborhood economic redevelopment. And so think of, obviously in a city, you have residential areas that are tied to a lot of economic corridors like Ben Park West and Cherokee Street. And so this is $30 million for that fund, and that can be used for small businesses and nonprofits.
I wanted to ask you this as a city resident, and again, thanks for. I'm so used to saying 28th Ward, and you said, well, that's now the 10th. Thank you. And Alderwoman Shamim Clark Hubbard represents us, and just the one thing that comes up with people that live in the city, along with me, friends I have, acquaintances in different wards. The one thing they talk about, because I know this is something that you feel can be addressed. The condition of the streets and things like has been crumbling, and we all look. We would have a wish list that would be a million miles long, and that would be true of any city,
Absolutely.
right? But could you, the people who specifically are concerned about the condition of the streets and some of the infrastructure that needs to be improved?
Yeah, so from our engagement process that we did that had over 16,000 residents, infrastructure was the top idea in almost every ward. If it wasn't the most popular idea, it was the second popular idea. And if you drive the streets, I know I've lost a couple of tires. It's not hard to figure it out. And so we want to give $60 million to the creation of a citywide mobility infrastructure fund. This will be separate from the city of St. Louis's budget. But what we hope to do with this fund is to really bring our streets in our city into 2024. And so not only figuring out why is it that we have these shortages, which a lot of the issues with our streets, in addition to them just being poorly designed, whereas I think now people want something different from their streets. I think you see people wanting their streets designed not just with the car in mind, but for the pedestrian, which we know that pedestrian violence on the streets is at an all-time high, that we're having a lot of instances where people are hit or they're, even murdered from being in accidents in the streets. So we wanted to be able to create a fund that could support the city of St. Louis in both addressing the street design and kind of really an opportunity to think boldly about our streets, but doing it in a sustainable method. One of the things that people may not know is in the city, even though we have a streets department, they don't have a proactive kind of plan. So there's nobody that is sitting back every year and figuring out how should we redesign our streets or what improvement infrastructure projects should we do, that is a professional. Right now, a lot of that is kind of a political process is by your alder. But I think you see a new group of us, we just passed Proposition T citywide at the ballot. We are trying to slowly start moving us into a system where you don't necessarily need an individual to get what you need in the city of St. Louis. We want to get you to a point where paying your taxes is enough for you to get the services you need, which means that we need the funding to think about our streets differently. It means that we need to empower our professionals to do it. But it also ultimately means for a lot of these things that we need to also think about what do we need to do for our workforce, which is why you'll see some of the boldest ideas in this bill. Start them with your workforce, because we cannot, honestly, we could put whatever on paper, but if we don't have the people to do the work, then it will just be on paper.
It's really interesting that you mention there's been some criticism that public safety is not addressed as much, but you sit here and say, look, if we fix the streets, there's going to be a public safety aspect to it, both from street violence, as you mentioned, and also things happening vehicularly. So there's tentacles to this that maybe some people don't totally see.
Absolutely. And I think, one of the questions we've certainly gotten, even at the first hearing we had, was about specifically St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department. So, of course, one of the top ideas in the portal was raises for city workers, which is something that I know I totally support, and so do all of my colleagues. I believe that's something that if we could just do as a board of alders, you would see that done tomorrow. The issue when you talk about city workers, and SLMPD is a great example, they have their own union, right? You can't just go and give employees raises. We have the director of personnel, we have the Civil Service Commission, the mayor is the one who's involved in a lot of those conversations, but you can't just go and give wages raises to workers. So instead, when it comes to public safety, knowing that that's at the top of people's mind, in addition to the street section, I think the housing section is a huge part of that. When you have areas of your city that are vacant, where the streets are crumbling, where businesses are closed or not operating, you see more crime. Where you have vacancy, you see more crime. When you have, more economic activity, more people in and out, more density, which the housing fund gives us the ability to create, you get an increase on that. And on top of that, thinking about our first responders, so police officers, EMS workers, which the city does struggle with retaining, one of the things we're seeing them say is a large struggle that they have is a lot of times when they have children, they begin to go to other workforces and join other police departments. And so, okay, we can't give you a raise, but potentially we can help save you $1,000, $1,200 on childcare. And so maybe now that helps us to attract a younger workforce, sustain a younger workforce, and also hopefully these things starts out as pilots that we can eventually build out to be accessible for all city residents.
It's always tough when a city has so many needs. And, again, we're proud that we stayed in the city and we plan to stay in the city and doing our part to take care of it or make it better, just through property tax, things like that, But it's tough when what we need is obviously more of a tax base. We need more citizens.
Right.
And I know this isn't exactly tied to what you came here to talk about, which is how to spend the settlement money. But you're a visionary because you're young and you think of the future. What do you think would be the keys to getting more families, more people from out of town, maybe more young people to move into St. Louis City?
Well, it's interesting. I actually think that's completely related to this bill. When I decided to kind of chair our process, the thing that I said in the beginning when I agreed to chair it, which was a lot of my colleagues supported me chairing it, as well as the president and the mayor, I just said, hey, if I chair, we're going to have to think transformatively. Like, I don't want to do anything that is just throwing, spaghetti at the wall and hoping something slicks. And if a city's going to ever think innovatively and try new things, then a time where it's ever had more money than it ever has, then would we? And the issue, I think the top issue in the city is population. At the end of the day, we have a serious population problem. And if we keep going the way we're going, we won't be one of the major cities in the city of St. Louis, and we'll have to have some other conversations. And so when you look at the things in this bill, the reasons why, again, the housing, you need to build more housing. If you build more housing, you have space for more people. The fastest population that's being out in the city is that family age range. So when you start getting to your 25 to 40 age, you see people just bleed out. A lot of times when someone decides I'm going to have a child, they leave. That's for multiple reasons, but certainly tied to education. Certainly, that's one of the first things people think about when they want to have children. And so on the Board of Aldermen, no, we don't have, we're not the Board of Education, so we don't directly impact educational decisions. But maybe we can give you early child care education and cut out a big bill for you. You know what I'm saying? Maybe even for me, I'm 29. I don't see myself having a child right now or in the next few years because I don't know how that would $1,000 to $1,500 in disposable income a month. I mean, for anybody, you don't even have to be low income. That's a struggle. And so obviously I'm going to choose somewhere where the schools are up to par, where there's support for me to have childcare access. And that's going to be tied to my decision to reproduce or be tied to me not deciding to. So I think a lot of things in this bill, from housing production, from the support of small businesses, from the early childcare program, for supporting children and young people in our union who want to go do some post-secondary option. But again, keeping in mind, we don't necessarily know what's going to happen with the Department of Education. And we do know education is getting higher and higher. So we did certainly, I know the president and the mayor and I had many conversations about, how do we do this in a way that maybe in 20 years, the next time a woman is sitting in my seat, she can solve a different set of issues? Because I think largely the things in this bill, infrastructure, streets, supporting your business, childcare, public safety, these are things that the city has been grappling with for decades. But because we have this funds, I have an expectation for us that we at least try to do something that addresses systematic issues and changes the structure in which we're doing things in a sustainable way. So that again, in 20 years, if there's the next woman in my seat, she can be solving a different set of problems because we did our jobs and faced head on and solved the ones in front of us now. And population is the number one thing, like a tax base and being a financial institution. Before we can get to some of my bigger, bolder ideas, we've got to address population. We've got to figure out the city worker issue.
Alicia Saunier, she is the alderwoman from Ward 7, primary sponsor of Bill 153. Right now, commenting period going on until January 31st. That's at stlouis.govocal.com. What can citizens do when it comes to this commenting period?
So we want you, if you think of a Google Doc, if anyone have access to a Google Doc, that is exactly how this platform is set up. And so one, I'm so grateful that the city purchased this software. We had a lot of conversations in the beginning. Some people were hesitant, but now you can do cool things where, like, right now, the only people who can comment on bills would be alders amongst each other. We do that regularly. We make amendments. Now the public can. So what I really want you to do is, like, go into the bill and just like a professor would read through and make your marks, make your edits, comment and say, hey, we like this. Hey, we don't like that. Something we can see already is the Citywide Mobility Infrastructure Fund is getting a lot of comments, and people are saying, hey, we really think that this needs to be have more specific language that specifically says that you're not going to just continue to, maintain your streets in a way that censors cars. We want you to build this, and we want to mention the pedestrians. We want you to talk about how you might build more, protected bike lanes and things of that nature. So that's what I would like you to do. The next step is go in. Every part of this bill is up for dissection, and I'll be looking at it, so will my colleagues, so that eventually you will see a committee substitute that will incorporate some of the feedback that we've gotten from each other, from other stakeholders, and from the public via these comments.
Great information. Thank you so much for coming in, especially again, day after Christmas. Really cool of you to do this.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure to meet you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
It was great. Thank you very much.
That's Alicia Saunier. She is the Ward 7 Alderwoman. This is a Gashouse Gang takeover of the Dave Glover Show on KMOX.
For everything online, it's Odyssey.com. Download the Odyssey app and listen to the Dave Glover Show and all the news, talk, sports, and podcasts that move you. Odyssey, that's AUDACY.
Hey, Jimmy Fallon here with a quick listening tip for you. If you miss Fox Across America or any of your other Fox News favorites, do not worry. I got you covered. You can stream previously aired shows with Rewind, available exclusively on the free Odyssey app. So if you're busy work days, it doesn't mean you have to miss out on the news. Listen to your Fox shows on your time with Odyssey. To get started, just download the free Odyssey app and search for Fox News Radio. That's Odyssey, AUDACY. I'm spelling it out in case you're a little slow like me.
This is a special report from the Missouri Lottery. There's still time to get holiday scratchers and draw games for everyone on your shopping list, even if you are the one at the top of said list. Don't worry, we won't tell. The Missouri Lottery. Play responsibly.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, board-certified urologist and senior vice president of men's sexual health at HIMSS. In my 12 years of practice as a reproductive urologist, I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS. It really wasn't easy before. You had to take time out of your day, come to a physical office, and see a specialist like me in person. Now, through HIMSS.com, you can get world-class sexual health care and a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. It starts with a free assessment from a medical provider licensed in your state who can determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. So don't wait. Join the hundreds of thousands of guys who've gotten help for their ED through HIMSS.
To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
Who you choose to sell your St. Louis area home matters, especially in this ever-changing market. We all know a few realtors, but I only recommend one. This is Debbie Monterey, and for the past several years, I've gotten to know Gloria Liu, owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria's different, guaranteeing to sell your home at your agreed-to price, or Gloria will buy it herself. When selling your home, you want the most money and the least hassle, and that's exactly what you get with Gloria Liu of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. For example, after 6 months, 2 separate agents failed to sell the Wheeler family's home. With no more time to waste, they decided to call Gloria Liu. Within a few days, Gloria was able to get them multiple offers and sold their home at nearly 99% of listing price because Gloria already had the buyers. The agent you choose to sell your home really matters. 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or online at gloriahasthebuyers.com. Conditions apply. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code SECONDFREE by January 26th. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, board-certified urologist and senior vice president of men's sexual health at HIMSS. I've helped many guys with ED in my 12 years of practice. But now you can get world-class care for ED 100% online by going to hims.com. So what are you waiting for?
To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy.
Conversations that hit close to home. From schools to your pocketbook. The voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
I think if at the end of this year, regardless of the record, I think there was a time, frankly, where you wondered, hey, maybe the Cardinals could like sneak in the NL Central this year. I kind of feel like the Cubs trading for Kyle Tucker, even though they did trade Bellinger after that, which I think that was unnecessary. And as a Cardinals fan, I'm glad the Cubs are not treating themselves like the juggernaut that they actually are. It's like trading away money. I still feel like the Cubs and the Brewers are clear favorites in the division. And frankly, I think the Reds are ready to make a step forward. So I think the idea of the Cardinals this year, what their record is, I'm trying not to sweat that too much. So I'd rather not lose 100 games. I like them to be halfway decent. If at the end of this year, you look at someone like Nolan Gorman, like Jordan Walker, like Quinn Matthews, even you're looking at those guys and be like, okay, that's locked in now. Like that's what you need to see from the Cardinals.
That was Will Leitch earlier today on this show. It's a Gashouse Gang takeover of the Dave Glover Show alongside of Bernie Miklasz. I'm Matt Pauley. Thanks so much for spending some time with us. Also, again, thank you to Alicia Sonier for joining us and talking to us a little bit about her Ram settlement money bill. Bernie, I think I agree mostly with what Will said there. I'm still holding out hope that this is a team that can play competitive baseball and can stick around in the playoff race, even if they're not a playoff club. I'll do that while all the other more important stuff is going on in the background. And I don't think it's crazy to think that that can happen. But at the end of the day, if you don't do that, but Jordan Walker gets on the right track and Nolan Gorman gets on the right track and Quinn Matthews arrives and starts to move up the rotation, you're going to be in a better spot for the long term.
Well, exactly. And I think it's hard for a lot of people to get their heads around it. And I'm not being critical because the Cardinals haven't been in this spot for a very, very long time. That's a credit to the great franchise that they've been. So when there is a dip, there is a downturn, you look and they're not developing star players. They're not developing this steady supply of pitchers one after another the way they did. And we're talking about drafting and developing. We're not talking about wasting money on mid-level free agents who don't move the needle. The people that think that's a solution are just wrong, but we can disagree. But people don't know what to make of the downturn, and people are mad. And so there's a sell the team or, do this, do that. Where the anger boils over, and that's fine. And people should absolutely follow their heart and their emotions. If they don't want to buy Cardinals tickets, they shouldn't. I mean, that's the ultimate way to voice your displeasure. But the more and more that I get into this, and the more and more, I just go back and look at all the winning that the Cardinals have done. As I said earlier, I think what they're doing now is necessary. I think it should have been done sooner. And I'm willing as a fan to give them some leeway to take care of business that they should have addressed sooner. But just because you were too slow to get around to it, that it doesn't mean you don't do it. And you keep just sort of trying to have a certain payroll and winding up where your product's on the decline and you don't have a good farm system to back it up to sort of boost you up. You got kind of get in no man's land. So that's why, and I know I'm taking the roundabout way to answer your question. I apologize. That's why I'm not hung up on whether they're going to be a team that maybe has an outside chance to get a wild card spot. I'm not hung up on whether they win, 84 games compared to 79 or 76, because this is a project where it just has to be done. And I asked Will Leitch about the Atlanta Braves, and I actually think there is a parallel there. Like the Braves did all that winning for the longest period of time. And then 2014 through 2017, they missed the postseason, 4 years in a row, and they had a losing record in all 4 seasons. They were under 500 all 4 seasons. And I also note that their attendance, which I wanted to look up, fell. I mean, it was still good, just like the Cardinals will have good attendance next year. But instead of 2.8 or 3 or 3.2, it's going to be under 2.5. But if I go with my Atlanta Braves parallel, I mean, the Braves were drawing a little bit over 2 million during those years. And that's a much larger metropolitan area.
And they don't draw 3 that often now.
Yeah. So there's still a really strong base. this is still an incredibly fruitful baseball market, and fans that are disillusioned now have a right to be, and they have a right to sort of stand back and say, well, I want to see exactly what they do here. I heard what they want to do, but I'm gonna take a step back and just cast a wary eye until I see it. And then some of the things start to come true. That's only going to take time. But you look at the Braves down 4 years in a row, and they revived their farm system. They got real aggressive in the international market, which is something the Cardinals need to do. And all of a sudden, the Braves had different people running the baseball operation, like a whole new staff. Do you see where that all of that, looking at what Atlanta did, I just look at that and I'm so, wait a minute, that kind of sounds similar to what we're seeing here now.
Yeah.
You just got to hope that it turns out as well.
Lots of similarities for sure. That's Bernie Miklasz. I'm Matt Pauley, a Gashouse Gang takeover of the Dave Glover Show on KMOX.
This is a special report from the Missouri Lottery. There's still time to get holiday scratchers and draw games for everyone on your shopping list, even if you are the one at the top of said list. Don't worry, we won't tell. The Missouri Lottery. Play responsibly.
At 3:30, 54 degrees downtown at the Arch. Nobody unwrapped a $1 billion Mega Millions ticket, which means Friday's jackpot is worth an estimated $1.15 billion. The odds of winning the jackpot are 1 in 302,575,350. And we've got a stalled vehicle that they have just cleared out on 370 going westbound at Truman Boulevard. That's got the right shoulder closed. Clouds overnight, low 47. For tomorrow, periods of rain, and we've got a high of 58. Right now, it's 54 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
This is Matt Pauley inviting you to join Mike Claiborne and me as we follow the Redbirds this offseason on the Cardinals Countdown to Opening Day show presented by Ameren. We'll have the latest news on the 2025 Cardinals, and we'll hear from Cardinals manager Olive Marmol, President of Baseball Operations John Mozeliak, along with other Cardinals coaches and players. Cardinals broadcasters John Rudy and Ricky Horton will also join us along the way with other special guests to talk about everything baseball. Catch all the action right here on the Cardinals Countdown to Opening Day show presented by Ameren on the home of the Cardinals, KMOX.
When you want a brand new kitchen, there's nothing to it. There's a brand new way to do it. 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
Roger, tell us about your experience working with 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
We just had a very fine experience with the work that 3-Day Kitchen and Bath had done on our home. They had taken out walls and put in a new kitchen and a new bath, and did it in an extremely timely manner with some of the finest workers that we've been associated with. Easy to work with. They did what we asked them to do. And each of the subs that they had, whether it was putting in the bath, the shower stalls, and they came in a timely manner. The plumber was here on time. The electricians were here when they said they would be here, and things just worked out really well for us. And I've done it myself, and it'll probably take me 2 years.
It's about time.
3 days or less.
At 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan of McKelvey Homes. Have you always wished for a brand new home, but don't want to leave your neighborhood? You are in luck. McKelvey has brand new move-in ready homes in established neighborhoods like Creve Coeur, De Pere, Kirkwood, and many more. Select one of our custom home sites, or we will build on your lot. You will love McKelvey's legendary quality and personal service. Visit McKelveyhomes.com and move up to McKelvey since 1898.
Discover the only true luxury Genesis experience at the first and only standalone Genesis dealership in Missouri, Genesis of St. Charles. True luxury isn't just built, it's engineered with precision and passion. When it comes to unparalleled service and luxury, accept no substitutes. Genesis of St. Charles is ranked in the top 10% of all dealers in the country. Treat yourself to the exclusive Genesis experience, because true luxury deserves its own stage. See for yourself. Visit Genesis of St. Charles today, based on GMA sales records.
My best friend Jenny came over for coffee, said it's cold enough in here to play hockey. Well, my furnace broke and it's already late. Call Jimmy Kelly because they open till 8. JerryKelly.com. They'll be here quick and have you feeling good. JerryKelly.com. 'cause your furnace will be running like it should. That certified technicians, I've been told, will help you when it's hot and help you when it's cold. CherryCounty.com. They're fast and they're good and they got it going on. CherryCounty.com.
Listen, you've been making house payments for years, right? And right now, your home's value has never been higher, right? That means you're likely sitting on a small fortune in equity. Good for you. That's cash that you could use to help secure your retirement, solve all your financial burdens, enable you to travel, everything you want. The catch is, you're not ready to move. No problem. You don't have to with the TrueHold Sell and Stay Leaseback program. This is a genius financial strategy. You sell your home to TrueHold while its value is high. You bank all that equity in cash now, and you can stay as long as you like with an easy, affordable lease. And TrueHold pays property taxes, insurance, and maintenance. TrueHold unlocks your wealth without uprooting your life. Get a TrueHold offer now while your home's value is sky high. Call 1-855-300-9993. That's 1-855-300-9993. Or visit TrueHold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out without moving out. TrueHold.com.
Broadcasting from the underlying Three Lawyers. GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
This Sunday, it's 3 NFL games back to back to back. And it all kicks off with the Cowboys at Eagles. Siteman Kansas Center game time 12 noon. Immediately followed by the Dolphins at Browns. Then, it's the Falcons and Commanders. Hear all 3 games here. NFL Football Sunday on America's Sports Voice. KMOX.
It's a Gashouse Gang takeover of the Dave Glover Show here on KMOX. No Dave, no Rachel, no Kevin, no Andrew, but myself, Bernie Miklasz here. But you know who is going to work on the day after Christmas? It is our good friend, Dave Murray, who joins us right now. Dave, thank you for choosing to work today. Hello.
Well, so there is a Dave on the show.
Yes, yes, there is a Dave. No Glover, no Dave Glover.
That's
today.
okay.
Yes.
He needs some time off.
How was your Christmas?
Very nice. Very, very quiet. We were away for about 12 days. We went to Hawaii in the beginning of the month, and then our grandson came out for about 8 days for the several days before Christmas. So we had Christmas last week, and now we're just trying to recover because he's 5 years old. So it's nuts.
Dave, Bernie Miklasz here. Gosh, so great
Hi,
to
Bernie.
hear your voice and actually be talking with you on the radio. All right, I'm going to ask a question you've probably been asked 5 million times, but here it goes. You are a St. Louis institution, and my gosh,
Thank you.
Your staying power and the fact that you're still so respected and treasured and well liked. It's for anyone in your business, man. You set a template for what all careers should be. However, with that comes things like you're at wherever you shop for groceries. If you're pulling in to get your tire repaired or, because people recognize you. How many times in your lifetime during your career in St. Louis have someone just asked you, Dave, well, what's it going to be like tomorrow? Can you tell me? I hear there might be some snow.
So, it depends on where I'm going for the day, but at least 10 times a day. Anybody I meet, because the weather, I've always believed this, the weather is the easiest thing to talk about. Cardinals are easier to talk about, but the weather is even easier. And so people have invited me into their homes for 42 years on television. And so I'm honored to feel like I'm part of their family, and they've been very, very good to me over the years. And I love St. Louis, just love St. Louis.
Dave, I know some people were disappointed by no white Christmas in your
Yeah,
long-term
me too.
forecast. Yeah. You mentioned maybe a possibility. Instead, the temperature stayed high. We got a lot of drizzle on Christmas Day. I remember growing up in St. Louis, and I'm 42, so we're going back quite a little ways.
That's scary. You know why that's scary?
Why is that scary?
My son is 42.
Okay.
See, Dave, I thought you were 42.
You look,
you look and act like
yeah,
it.
you absolutely do. And it feels like the climate in this area has changed, where we don't get white Christmases as often, and maybe the real cold weather doesn't come in until a little bit later in the wintertime. Am I right in saying that?
It kind of, it kind of all depends on the season. It all depends on the drivers in the atmosphere. It certainly continues to look like this is kind of a non-winter for us until probably late winter as we get into February and even March. But I've always said that when we were growing up, it always seemed like we had snow and a lot of snow. And we did. We had some big storms. Obviously, the 82 blizzard comes to mind. But I also remind folks that when they're 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, they're a lot shorter. And so a 5-inch snow appears like, oh man, we had so much snow. But it's gotten harder to seem to pull out sleds and flying saucers and cardboard and things like that.
It used to be, because I've been on the planet long enough to remember how weather used to be on television in St. Louis. You men and women were never asked to like peer well into the future, and make forecast on trends, what it might be 2 months from now,
Sure.
things like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's my long way of asking, what do you think the rest of the winter looks like? I mean, what trends have you been able to catch on to that gives you an idea of what we could expect, knowing that no forecast is going to be perfect in that regard?
Yeah, I still think that January is going to be a relatively quiet month. Mild is probably the wrong word to use, but I think temperatures will be good, though we're certainly going to see some cold air. I don't think it's anything consistent. That will continue into the early part of February. And then I think the cold air is going to start to work its way into the middle and eastern part of the country. And again, if we can get the link of the cold and the moisture, then we have a shot of seeing some snow. But I don't see a lot of snow in the month of January. I still think the hardcore winter month, it's not going to be extreme, but the best shot of winter is going to be the month of February. How my long range forecasting, I've always been interested in it. And we used to do on Channel 2 the long range forecast every quarter. And it got started because my news director came to me and he goes, "We need your help with something. Do you think you could forecast 3 months in advance?" And I said, with trends and things like that, yes, I do think I could do it. Good. That's what we want you to do, because we need you to take a bullet for the team in our 9:30 to 10 o'clock half hour. We need at a certain point every quarter to take that half hour out of the ratings, so that our 9 o'clock looks stronger than it probably really is. And I said, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll do it. I'll take the knife in the back. And that concept worked for about 2 long-range forecast specials. Then the specials started to outperform everything in that half hour, including network television. And it was like, oh, now we have a real problem. Now we need it there because you're boosting our 9 o'clock show. And it was like, yeah, it was kind of fun to do that. And I think we did that for 10 years and still do it on KMOX.
Things like the Farmer's Almanac try to predict things out basically a year in advance. How correct do they get things?
They can hit some stuff. They use solar trends, the effect of the sun more than anything else. And they use some real high-tech computer modeling that they have kind of developed themselves. I've always said that the Farmer's Almanac is, if you do a bar graph and you just draw a bar in the middle of your page and you have one scale going up one way, one scale going the horizontal way, but no numbers on it. And that's the accuracy rate of the Farmer's Almanac. It's all in your mind. It's all what you want it to be. Because there are times you'll say, hey, I wonder if they got this cold snap. And you'll look and you say, hey, you know what? They hit it. They're right all the time. And that's just kind of how the Farmer's Almanac works. I look at it, it's got some great information in it, besides just a long-range weather forecast. They've got wonderful nature stories and atmospheric stories and astronomy type stories, stuff like that. It's a great read. I love picking it up in October and going through it from page to page.
All right, well, we've talked enough long range. Let's go a little shorter. What does it look like over the next few days?
It continues to look gloomy. We're in a very active weather pattern, though it's not a pattern that produces a lot of rain. So we're going to see another batch of developing steady light rain towards morning. The evening, I think, is fine, and the evening doesn't change our temperatures. We're hanging around 50 degrees right now, only going down to 47. Tomorrow, kind of a steady light rain first thing in the morning, but it should come to an end fairly quickly. Otherwise, Friday is cloudy and breezy, 58. Couple of showers here and there Friday night. A couple of spotty showers on Saturday. Saturday is cloudy, mainly at 62. Some showers, maybe even a rumble of thunder Saturday night, 43 degrees. Then Sunday, partly sunny. Sunday continues to look like a great day, especially for December, with 58 degrees. Let's go through the new year. Monday, partly sunny, 55. New Year's Eve is cloudy, but I think it's dry, 32 degrees. And then New Year's Day is partly sunny and colder, but nothing extreme, 38 degrees. There are some signs of some colder air coming in here, probably for about 5 days or so for the first of the year.
Last thing for you, I remember when we were talking about fall colors, you mentioned the fact that there was so much rain earlier in the season that might have actually been good for fall colors. Is there any implications to the type of weather we're having right now that could impact things later?
Not so much this time of year. The key to the fall colors are spring rains, and we don't want too much rain, but you need kind of adequate amounts of rain. That's the key to the fall colors. And it's kind of tough in the St. Louis area to get great colors. You have an occasional tree that is outstanding, but the spring rains are really what I look at.
Dave, always appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
All right. Happy New Year, guys.
All right. Very good. Bernie mentioned fall colors. I lived for a while in Colorado Springs. That's where I met my wife. I was broadcasting AAA baseball out there. And as you go up in altitude, like we would take a close to Colorado Springs, there's a small little mountain town called Cripple Creek, where there's all a bunch of casinos and things like that. Recently, there was the tragedy with somebody falling down into a mine. That was in Cripple Creek. That was really close to Colorado Springs. If you want to see fall colors that are amazing because you're going up into altitude, that's the drive to take from Colorado Springs, Colorado to Cripple Creek, Colorado.
Up on Cripple Creek.
Yes.
The band.
There you go.
One of my favorite songs.
That's there's a little tourism tidbit for folks listening.
I like that. Yeah, I want to recognize. We have my wife has family in that area, so I have to ask about that next time they visit.
It's pretty amazing to see. We'll take a break. Come back. Got more coming up. We are the Gashouse Gang, or at least one half of it. Bernie and myself, Tom Ackerman, Kevin Wheeler being the other half. If you don't know what we're talking about, we'll explain that more coming up in just a little while, right here on KMOX.
Now, KMOX traffic from the michaelsflooringoutlet.com traffic center.
Well, traffic's not bad this afternoon as you head out the door. We do have a few issues, though, as we take a look at the Cordell & Cordell domestic litigation firm traffic cameras. The ramp from 270 to Ballas is currently closed because of a crash they're working to clear. At that point, there's no backup coming through. You just can't get off at Ballas. So you have to continue on up the road to Spady to do that. West Florissant at McLaren, we have an injury crash. Our own Frank Ladd called in about a crash eastbound 364 at the Heritage Crossing exit out in the St. Peter's area. So be careful if you're in that stretch. But if you don't have troubles, you don't have issues. Because again, just like this morning, volume very light. So all these highways are running pretty much delay free for you all around the metro area. And we're even talking about in the work zones, especially 55 coming out of the city down through Revis Barracks. It is wide open for you right now. I'm Roger Brand in the michaelsflooringoutlet.com traffic center.
Oh no, stomach issues again? Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools. I thought it was my stomach. People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
I occasionally have nerve discomfort in my hands, so the things I love to do
Let's play something, Grandma.
became difficult as I got older.
If you have occasional stabbing and burning in your hands and feet, try Nervive Nerve Relief. Nervive's clinically studied dose of alpha-lipoic acid reduces occasional nerve discomfort in as little as 7 days with continued daily use. Say yes to healthy nerves with Nervive Nerve Relief. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent.
Nominations for the 2025 Women of Achievement are now open. This St. Louis Area Award is the oldest ongoing program in the area, whose sole mission is to honor and recognize the volunteer service and volunteer leadership of women. If you know an outstanding volunteer in the St. Louis metropolitan area, or if you are one, Women of Achievement wants to hear from you. Nominations, including self-nominations, may be submitted now through January 11th. For more information, head to KMOX.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling
renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-329-2121, 800-329-2121, 800-329-2121.
Looking to give your bathroom an affordable facelift? Maybe you need your shower area to become a safer space for your family's needs. Hey, it's Trish with a recommendation. Michaels can come in and give you a free quote. We'll discuss your needs and help figure out what would work best for your space and budget. Michaels Bass remodel bathrooms all over the St. Louis region. 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ rating with the BBB. You'll love these guys. Michaels Bass, 636-775-0800.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Make sure your family is well taken care of with life insurance. Protect your phones, laptops, and more with electronic device insurance, and cover your furry friends with pet health insurance.
Real issues that impact your life. No polarizing politics, just relatable conversations. The voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Gashouse Gang is taking over the Dave Glover Show. Welcome back in alongside of Bernie Miklasz. I'm Matt Pauley. Coming up in our next, we've already just about finished 3 hours of this. This thing has moved along very, yeah.
We haven't even talked about NA yet.
Oh, that's right. We've avoided the future Hall of Fame third baseman who is currently on the Cardinals roster.
Yeah.
I'm burnt out by that conversation right now.
I kind of am too.
Yeah.
I think the people watch my videos are too. I respect that. We were talking during the break. On one hand, you know, when there's even minor developments, I think you can say, well, listen, this guy who covers the Yankees said no way. This person said this. I think what I need to do if I want to ever talk about it again on YouTube before something absolutely happens or not, I think maybe do a shorter video on it. But I think people are really burned out on it. I don't blame them.
This is what frustrates me because insider reporting has become very transactional. An agent has a good relationship with a reporter.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not being critical of reporters either. Like that's part of reporting. You create relationships with people and then you get information. But some of the cost of that sometimes is things are going to be planted and there's going to be some things that are maybe a half truth or something that's being said to try to drum up interest. And when it comes to this entire story, he wants to be a Dodgers. Well, the Dodgers say that Max Muncy is going to be the third baseman no matter what. Well, he'd be okay moving over to first base for the Padres. Well, the Padres want to cut payroll. I'd be good going to the Yankees now that Goldschmidt's there. Oh, the Yankees have no interest in it. Like it's these messages is from all over the place are so frustrating.
There's no doubt about it. And the extra frustration for me is that a lot of times the information that is being reported or speculated upon with informed information comes from people that I truly respect and I trust, but yet one of them has to be wrong and one of them is right. And I'm like, well, I can vouch for both of these people, but I don't know who's right because I don't know who's telling them what the situation is. Jack Curry of the Yes Network in New York, and he's very close to the Flames there. I mean, he has a great ear and a great pipeline to information, right? And he said the Yankees are not in on the Cardinals third baseman. You know, forget about it. And he said I could not be more adamant. Well, I sit up and listen to that because he's not a hack and he gets good information from the Yankees. So I don't know. But then the other thing that irritates me is people in our business. And I've been guilty of this at times, although not too much, I don't think. They say something like in like really strong terms. And then people like in a market, whatever market it is, it happens to be St. Louis here. Oh my gosh, did you see what Buster Olney said? And Buster's a friend of mine, right? Think the world of him. But Buster every now and then will pop off on the Arenado situation, and he'll put something on X, and he'll say, "Oh my God, did you see what Buster Olney said on X? He said there's a very limited market for Arenado." Oh my, well, no, stinking kidding. That's not news.
No,
but people act like, oh my goodness. Did you see what he just said?
Well, even when Mo first, this was the thing that bugged me of this entire thing. Here's the thing that bugged me the most. 1 million people, everybody who had a single source had reported that the Cardinals intended to trade Nolan Arenado.
Right.
And then on that Monday night in Dallas, John Mozeliak says, we intend to trade Nolan Arenado. And all of a sudden, we're supposed to it's good to get confirmation. It moves the story along. Like there's a new component to it. I'm not saying ignore that. There certainly was a newsworthy aspect to the Cardinals admitting that. I understand that. But to think that this is some sort of groundbreaking news that the people who just bought themselves a Nolan Arenado replica jersey wasted their money. Like, no, pay attention. Like, this isn't news. And if you're hearing me talk about it on Sports Open Line, that means you were listening yesterday on Sports Open Line when I said Derek Gould, Katie Wu, like whoever reported this. I don't understand why that revelation in a hotel suite in Dallas got the pushback that it did.
It's just strange. Yeah. And it's to be expected, I guess, but it's annoying.
Yeah,
it really is. So I don't know what's going to happen. Let me throw this at you since I brought NA up, but in a way we're sort of making fun of the situation. But I will ask you this, Mr. Matt Pauley, as the days go by, have you shifted at all your view that, he'll be traded? He won't be a Cardinal. Have you shifted your view at all?
Maybe I've gone from it being like a 1% chance that he stays a Cardinal to like a 5% chance that he stays a Cardinal. So I think as days go by and as Houston isn't a destination anymore, things like that, you look at it, but I still overwhelmingly believe that he is going to be traded.
I feel the same way, but I have more doubt creeping in on that. I think all right, here's another thing. When do you think there would be, where's a date on your calendar, so to speak, where you look at it and it's a certain date and you're like, he might just be with the Cardinals in 2025.
Probably like February 1st.
Beginning of February. I can see that. Yeah. That sounds, I didn't have an idea in mind, but now that you say that sounds about right.
Yeah, because at that point you're really starting to get ready for pitchers and catchers reporting, and you may say, you know what, we'll take a look at him at the trade deadline or see if an injury happens during spring training. It's the Gashouse Gang takeover of the Dave Glover Show on KMOX.
Make 2025 the year you get started on your next success with the University of Maryland Global Campus. An accredited state university, UMGC is a school for real life, helping working adults like you learn the skills you need for the career you want. Choose from more than 135 degrees and certificates in career-relevant fields and earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's for prior learning and life and work experience, or transfer up to 12 credits toward a master's. We offer scholarships, affordable tuition, and online and hybrid classes, all with the support you need from your first day to graduation day and beyond. Get a head start on your goals in the new year. Now is the perfect time to take the next step in your life and education at University of Maryland Global Campus. Apply now and save with no application fee. Undergraduate and most graduate courses start January 8th. Learn more at umgc.edu. That's umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
When can you retire? When should you tap your 401k? Will you have enough money to live on? We all have retirement questions that stress us out. But Steve All can help answer those questions and more so that you'll feel confident about the next phase of your life.
My job is to sit down with people and actually figure out what their wishes, hopes, and dreams are. It's about a standard of living, not an amount of money. It's how they want to live in retirement.
Join Steve every Saturday morning at 10 for the All Financial Hour, right here on KMOX.
I'm Tom Ackerman with this month's Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight, and we are talking about lung cancer with Dr. Jeffrey Ward.
New treatments and what can you do in addition to what's available. We have more than 100 active clinical trials for patients with lung cancer at Siteman, and would be more than happy to see patients to talk about studies.
Special thanks to Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, visit siteman.wustl.edu.
Now, KMOX traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com traffic center.
Well, so take a look at the Cordell domestic litigation firm traffic cameras. They're still working with this crash the ramp from 270 onto Ballast. That ramp is closed. The exit ramp to Ballast from 270 shut down because of a crash, a two-vehicle crash. They removed one of the vehicles, but one of them is still out there. So I guess they're waiting for that second flatbed. So you take 270 and exit at Ballast. You can from eastbound 64, but not from 270. West Florissant and McLaren, we had an earlier injury crash. It looks like they may have cleared that. I don't really see the delays there. The ramp from eastbound 364 to Heritage Crossing, there's a minor crash. Watch for restrictions there out in St. Peter's. But like I said, if you don't have a problem, you don't have a delay. It's very light volume. It's a holiday week. Next week's going to be the same, so I don't expect too much. And of course, the weather's cooperating. It's cloudy, but roads are basically dry around the metro area. So the interstates continue to roll downtown. No problems headed across into Illinois either so far for you. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet.com Traffic Center.
KMOX KECK HD2 St. Louis.
Your home of the Chiefs. This is KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
At 4 o'clock, it's a cloudy sky and 53 degrees downtown at the Arch. Our top story this hour, St. Louis County Prosecuting Attorney Wesley Bell is again calling for Councilman Dennis Hancock to be removed from office due to nepotism allegations.
Bell says he has evidence that shows Hancock tried to cover up the fact that he hired his stepdaughter to be his legislative assistant.
There's no question that Councilman Hancock violated the state constitution. Councilman Hancock can step down and do the honorable thing.
Bell's office sent KMOX an audio file of a phone call where Councilman Hancock admitted to hiring his stepdaughter.
You appointed Holly Galati as your administrative assistant?
That's right. Stuart McMillan, KMOX News.
Aviation experts say Russian air defense fire was likely responsible for the Azerbaijani civilian plane crash that killed 38 people and left all 29 survivors injured. Cell phone footage appeared to show the aircraft making a steep descent before smashing into the ground in a fireball. NATO is offering support to Finland and Estonia after an underwater power cable linking the two countries was severed. BBC News regional editor Paul Moss.
This crucial cable carrying electricity between Finland and Estonia stopped working at around lunchtime on Christmas Day in Finland and Estonia. And at exactly the point that it stopped working, a ship passed overhead. The Finnish police acted quickly. They boarded the ship, flagged the Cook Islands, a small nation in the Pacific. But what they're suggesting is that's just what's called a flag of convenience, and it was really part of Russia's Shadow Fleet.
The Shadow Fleet is Russia's attempt to evade sanctions by using older ships with hard-to-pin-down ownership that are not insured to Western standards. The KMOX Business Desk, if you're having trouble with your Chat GPT, it's not you, it's them. Michael Toscano has the latest.
For the second time this month, Chat GPT and Sora stopped functioning for many users this afternoon. OpenAI says its app is, quote, experiencing glitches for some. The company blames high error rates on an upstream provider and says they're working on it.
The Dow from Stifel up 28 points today to 43,325.
Still seeing some spots of light rain and drizzle. Obviously, lots of clouds around. 53 for the high. Tonight, here comes the next storm system. It's not a big one, but it will bring periods of a steady light rain developing fairly quickly tonight. 47. Friday, periods of a steady light rain. Let's focus on the morning. Lots of clouds Friday afternoon at 58. Rest of the holiday weekend, Saturday, clouds. A few showers, but no all-day rain. 62. Sunday, partly sunny and a nice 58. I'm meteorologist Dave Murray for the Voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
We've got 53 in St. Peter's and Florissant. It's 53 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
This hour of the DGS is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts. IGotFloor.com.
The Gashouse Gang in for the Dave Glover Show. One more hour to go. These last 3 hours have just flown by. Along with Bernie Miklasz, my name is Matt Pauley. Thanks so much for being tuned in. We're going to talk some football, some NFL football right now, following great day of NFL football yesterday if you're a Chiefs fan, because they looked really good playing their Christmas Day game. Let's welcome in an NFL.com columnist. He is Jeffrey Chihita. Jeffrey, thanks so much for taking some time with us today. How are you?
I'm doing well. How you guys doing?
Man, hey, what I come into work today and I see your name's on the guest list, and I'm like, all right. Ever since the radio station I work for went out of business, you and I haven't had a chance to talk. And I'm like, can you believe what a great guy Jeffrey is? Because it's like his old friend is back on radio, and he's like, yeah, sure. And I'll go on with those guys. So thanks for doing this as always. And, happy holidays to you and your family. How's everything going in KC?
It's going well, and happy holidays to you guys as well. It's always a crazy time of year with the playoffs starting to ramp up and all these crazy games, but nothing beats family time. You can always enjoy that.
Hey, that Chiefs win yesterday was an eye-opener on many levels, and it isn't obviously just because they won, because all they've been doing is winning. But that was, that was just kind of like, okay, it's go time. It's late in the season. It's time to just get everything going or whatever. It seemed like that to just a fan watching the game, because every part of their team was on point. They had not played that well all season in a game. So are we making too much of that? Or was that the Chiefs saying, okay, it's that time of year, we have to get our act together?
I don't think too much is being made of it. They had not had that kind of a complete game in a long time. You're right. I can't remember the last time they had a game like that. And so I think it was important for them to see it from a confidence standpoint, because last thing you wanted was to get the bye and still have doubts about what you could accomplish. For me, the big takeaways in that game was with two things. One, you see what their offense can do when they're able to protect Patrick Mahomes, and you see what their defense can do, how dominant they can be when they're able to get turnovers. And those two things had not been happening over the course of the year. And in fact, I think before the last 2 or 3 weeks, they were in the negative as far as turnover differential goes. So I think they're plus 10 in the last 3 games. They've given up 1 sack. And I know a lot's been made about Hollywood Brown coming back into the equation and some other guys getting healthy. But to me, that's the two biggest things, is that, Patrick Mahomes is upright and they're taking the ball away.
We rarely see teams on like Thursday Night Football play a really clean game. This was like that exponentially with 3 games in 11 days. Is it even more impressive that kind of effort comes at a period where they've played that many games in such a short amount of time?
Well, yeah, and I think you saw the difference in terms of how one team could deal with that and then the other team couldn't. As good as the Chiefs were and as sharp as they were in that game, the Steelers were the complete opposite for long stretches of that game. And so I think you saw what Andy Reid can do, and what Patrick Mahomes can do. It's to their advantage when you don't have a full week to prepare for them. And I said going into this, not just this 3-game stretch, but this 5-game stretch where they were going to play the Chargers, the Browns, the Texans, the Steelers, and the Broncos, 4 teams that are going to be in the playoffs, and one team that's really physical. You would learn a lot about this team. And so they have not lost a game since then. They played their best football during this stretch. And to your earlier question about it being go time, I think that what they've realized is that, they can't be what they were, 2-3 years ago. They wanted to be more explosive, more prolific on offense this year. Injuries and some offensive line issues got in the way of that, but they can be really sharp in the quick game. They can be really sharp in the run game. They didn't run it great yesterday, but I think that they understand that they're going to have to drive the football down the field, control the time of possession, and that's going to be their route to winning a championship.
You wrote a great piece the other day. Well, you always do, my man, Jeffrey Chihita, senior columnist, NFL Network, NFL.com. But I thought it was great. In fact, I thought that I was going to be asked some questions the other day when I did a hit on the station, but we ran out of time to do it. I had your piece as like a study guide, a quick study guide. You did a buy and sell on contenders in each league, which leads us to the Baltimore Ravens, because as impressive as the Chiefs were yesterday, that show that the Ravens put on, that smackdown the Ravens put on Houston was something to behold. Lamar Jackson, not that he was ever out of the MVP race, but he's very much front and center along with a couple other people. But it looks like the Ravens have also found it, whatever it is. I know their defense is playing a lot better. Derrick Henry's amazing, and Lamar Jackson is obviously amazing. How dangerous are they? Have you sort of moved them up mentally in terms of AFC teams you think can win it all?
Yes, without question. I think there's 7 teams that can win it in the entire league, in NFC, Minnesota, Green Bay, Detroit, and Philadelphia. And I think there's 3 in the AFC, the Chiefs, the Ravens, and the Bills. And the Ravens certainly have moved into, I think, the top 5 categories because, as you mentioned, their defense has come around. And that was a big shock at the start of the year because they're usually pretty strong on that side of it. And I think they had a lot of communication issues. They moved Kyle Hamilton into a full-time role at safety instead of sliding him around in different spots. And that's helped with the communication. And they've got talent over there. That was never the question. The issue was Mike McDonald, their former coordinator who had the #1 defense last year, is now coaching in Seattle. And so they had to figure things out. I still don't know if I fully trust Justin Tucker, which sounds strange to say because he's had some big kicks throughout his career, but he's missed some big kicks this year. But yeah, you look at the way Lamar Jackson is playing, and I say it all the time. Derrick Henry has had the quietest 1,700-yard season in the history of football. I can't think of another guy in the NFL who's run for that many yards, and nobody's talking about him. So that's a dangerous threat when you got those 2 guys and the other weapons. So I think them and Buffalo, despite having to come to Arrowhead to play games, they can win there with what they have.
Speaking of things happening somewhat quietly, Lamar Jackson moves by Michael Vick for the all-time rushing yardage for a quarterback. And he does it in 102 games over 7 seasons. Vick's mark, he got to where he finished with 143 games over 13 years. When Michael Vick was playing, all we did was talk about him and his ability to run the ball and rightfully so. But it feels like we don't do that with Jackson. And here he is, not just getting past the record, but doing it exponentially faster. Can you kind of evaluate, put your spin on why we don't talk the way about Lamar Jackson that we did about Michael Vick?
Well, I think when you go back to Michael Vick, when he was playing, he was 101. I mean, he was a unicorn. There was nobody as athletically gifted as him playing the position. You had mobile quarterbacks like McNabb, and I think Steve Young might have still been towards the end of his career at that point, or maybe he was already done. But there were a few guys who ran around and did some stuff. Jeff Garcia comes to mind, but there weren't a ton of guys who were prolific at it. But now it's like when Mahomes came around and when Lamar showed up, I told people these guys are phenomenal, but in like 5 years, there's going to be like 7 or 8 of these guys. And now you look around and you've got Jaden Daniels and you've got Josh Allen, and, Joe Burrow is not a full-time runner, but he can move around when he has to. And he's had some big runs in this league to help his team win games. And, obviously Jalen Hurts. And so there's just more guys like him. And I think, to be honest with you, I think the way the NFL has changed the way defense is played and the rules being opened up so much for the offense that we take numbers for granted now. I think I saw Travis Kelce's had like 7 straight 90 catch seasons now, which is a record, more than Torrey Holt or more than Marvin Harrison ever had. And it's just like, it seems like it's not a big deal because we just expect guys to put up big numbers. So I think that factors into what Lamar's been doing.
Jeffrey Chadilla with us from NFL.com and the NFL Network. And I want to harken back to the way you broke it down for us at NFL.com about contenders in each conference. And I got to say, the NFC actually intrigues me more than the AFC, because I'm just going to look at some teams like maybe down on the list a little bit. Like, who the heck wants to play the Washington Commanders in the first round? Who wants to play the Rams in the first round?
Yeah.
Green Bay is not an easy out. I mean, there's all kind of danger in the NFC. And I want to zero in on a couple of things. Detroit is extremely vulnerable because of injuries, which you wrote about and we've all talked about. And the Vikings are 13-2. And yet I seem to think that maybe there's still a pocket of football fans that don't quite take them as seriously as they should.
Yeah.
What's your view of the Vikings as it pertains to the Lions trying to glue everything back together again?
Well, you're exactly right. I think it's rare that you have a year where you have two wild cards that are legitimate Super Bowl contenders that are as good as anybody who's going to win a division in the NFC. And one of those teams, Minnesota, could still win the NFC North. But you're right. I think just as people with the Chiefs were saying, yeah, they're 15-1, but look how they're winning, look how they're playing, look at not blowing people out. I feel like the narrative coming into the season on the Vikings was Sam Darnold's their quarterback, and they're going to suck at some point. Like he's going to blow it, he's going to screw it up, he's going to throw like 25 interceptions, and you're going to see how bad. And so I think there's still that stink on them, and people don't want to accept. And I was at their training camp. If you watch them in person and look at their roster is as good as anybody in the NFL. And now with the quarterback, you have to look at them seriously because he's playing like a guy who was the third overall pick in the draft. And so their defense is the best in the league. And I think Green Bay is probably a top 5 right behind them, what they're doing. But Brian Flores, the way they play defense, it's like Bill Belichick is calling the schemes over there. They're like second or third in the league in turnovers. They're second or third in the league in sacks. And when you factor in Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and Aaron Jones, and look, they lost their left tackle, they didn't miss a beat. And so I feel like people really are underestimating. They've lost 2 games to the Lions and to the Rams. And both games, they lost the Lions by 2, and the Rams game came down to a guy basically getting a face mask on a sack in the end zone at the end of the game. Like, that's it. And so, yeah, I think you take them very seriously to win a championship.
Jeffrey Cheetah is an NFL.com columnist, being gracious enough to join us the day after Christmas. Jeffrey, thanks so much for your time, and look forward to talking to you again down the line.
Thanks, man.
All right, man. Same here. Take care, guys.
All right, very good. Great to talk to him. Bertie, I just thought he was great. The fact that Lamar Jackson got the record so much faster than Michael Vick just floors me.
The only thing Jackson hasn't done is won in the postseason. And then it's going to be a big and people that make a big deal about that, hey, that's just the nature of the position, right? So it's a legitimate thing to scrutinize. He's a remarkable football player, just remarkable. The combination of passing, running, leadership, just remarkable. But that 48-yard run for a touchdown yesterday, thing of beauty.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, lot of great teams in the AFC and the NFC.
100. That you said the NFC. I mean, you look at Philadelphia, Washington, Detroit, Minnesota, Green Bay. Those are all really legitimate teams. Another break. We'll come back. We'll continue on. It's a Gashouse Gang takeover of the Dave Glover Show on KMOX.
Now, KMOX traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com traffic center.
Well, there's no worries out there on the area highways right now. This traffic reports a service to Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning. Again, this is a holiday week, so is next week, so I'd expect light traffic. It was light this morning. It's light this afternoon. No sun in your eyes and dry roads. That's about the best combination you can hope for the drive home, and then a lack of volume added to it. That's a triple play, and it looks great on these area highways right now. They cleared that crash eastbound 60 from the 270 ramp onto the Ballas exit. They may still be working the one eastbound 364 at the Heritage Crossing exit. But other than that, like I said, interstate travel is wide open for you on both sides of the river right now. No delays. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Right now, the Fix-It-Right guys at Jerry Kelly will come tune up and inspect your furnace for just $98. It's normally $143, and that's very little money for a whole lot of peace of mind. Check it out now at
JerryKelly.com. Don't let cold season make you miserable. Try the quick drug-free solution for nasal congestion, Navage. Navage uses gentle suction to flush out your sinuses with refreshing saline, helping you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier all winter long. And here's even better news. Navage is now available at select warehouse clubs in a great new value pack. It's everything you need to start breathing better fast. Check out Navage at your local retailer today. Navage, Navage, breathe easy.
Trust and Will knows that we'll all eventually need a will. How about right now? Trust and Will makes creating your will easy, like while you're lounging on the couch easy. Trust and Will is designed by attorneys but customized by you, and all documents are state-specific and secure. Find your plan at trustandwill.com and use offer code RADIO now for 10% off. That's trustandwill.com, offer code RADIO. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. Visit trustandwill.com for details.
This year has flown by, and now you're planning to sell your home. Like you, most families have been waiting on the sidelines. Now the timing is better, but maybe you still have questions, right? This is Debbie Monterey for Gloria Lou with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. I've been telling you about Gloria Lou for years now because Gloria Lou is St. Louis's real estate expert. And if you have a home to sell, you need to get to know Gloria like I have. I've seen her systems, her guarantees. I've even met some of her clients. Gloria is different than any other realtor. If you need help selling for the most money, you need to call Gloria Lou. Here's another tip. If you have a home to sell in Crestwood, Shaw, Maplewood, or the Central West End, you absolutely must call Gloria Lou. Take it from me, Debbie Monterey, and call Gloria Lou at 314-325-6888. 314-325-6888. Online at gloriahasthebuyers.com. Conditions apply. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
For eligible individuals 18 and older with self-perceived mild to moderate hearing loss only. Results vary. See website for details and important safety information.
Life without hearing aids can be frustrating.
Andy, did you hear what she just said?
No, I'm sorry. What did I miss?
I said I got the promotion, Dad. I thought you would be excited.
You're missing out on the important moments of your life because you just can't hear them. It's time to try the Jabra Enhanced Select 500, our smallest, most advanced hearing aid. With proprietary speech clarity technology, even the most complex listening situations like a noisy restaurant are crisp and clear. And you can get the same advanced hearing aid technology and professional care you expect from a clinic at a fraction of the cost. Get Jabra Enhance over-the-counter hearing aids and stop missing the important moments. Save $300 on Enhanced Select 500 hearing aids automatically at checkout. Just go to JabraEnhance.com/radio. That's JABRA Enhance.com/radio. JabraEnhance.com/radio.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Make sure your family is well taken care of with life insurance. Protect your phones, laptops, and more with electronic device insurance, and cover your furry friends with pet health insurance.
We go where you go. 1120 AM, 98.7 FM, KMOX.com. Stay connected with the heartbeat of St. Louis. KMOX News, bringing you the stories that matter most. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
The Gashouse Gang is taking over the Dave Glover Show. My name's Matt Pauley. Bernie Miklasz is here. We're going to be back with you tomorrow as well. We hope you are enjoying the program. You can text in if you'd like to, 314-436-7900. Bernie, we started down a path earlier. We ran out of time, and I want to come back to it for just a moment. We both work in media and changing media, and you do your YouTube channel, which is fantastic. You've got a background in print with what you did here at the Post-Dispatch and obviously newspapers before that. I don't know if you know this. Did you know that at one point I was kind of a little bit of a member of the Post-Dispatch team? I don't think you knew
No,
this.
I did not know this.
So when I was in high school, I got a job at what was the time Stats Online, which was essentially the Post-Dispatch's prep section. They separated out the sports from the prep sports. We were in the Sverdrup building right there on the river, which is now condos. And I would pick up the phone on Friday nights and I would take high school football box scores and input them. And then that way it could run in the Agate the next day in the Post-Dispatch. And my dad, we were Sunday only subscribers growing up. My dad subscribed to the Saturday Post-Dispatch just so I could go look at the box scores that I had inputted in.
I did that
the night before. And I was really prideful of that.
Yeah.
And eventually they let me start covering some games in high school because I'm a high schooler covering high school games. I had I had photo credits in the Post-Dispatch as a high schooler.
I never knew that, man.
I
like that.
This isn't what we're going to talk about. I'll tell this quick story real quick.
That was my first job too. Like at the Baltimore News American. I would track down coaches and get box scores, but in high school basketball, football, all that stuff. I'd have to write roundups.
Yeah, it's a great.
Yeah,
I learned so much doing that.
I got the only time I've been fired from a newspaper job is I was working for the Annapolis Evening Capital, and I misplaced a file on a crazy Friday night. I'm looking at these like a team's file for reference. I don't know what happened to it. So Al Hopkins, who I later became great friends with, that's it. Sacked me
right there.
Yeah, gone.
Right in there,
gone. You know, so I deserved it actually.
That's funny.
But he always said, like, I can't believe I fired you. How stupid. I said, no, man, I deserved it. And you woke me up. So you did me a favor. Because I was a dumb kid then.
Yeah.
Some people say, well, you're a dumb old guy. So
you stuck around for a little bit.
Yes.
I remember. So I was in I went to Ladue High School, and I whenever I tell this story, I want to be very clear. I had amazing teachers who had such a huge positive impact. Teachers and coaches at my high school were great. I had a print journalism teacher who just didn't like me, and I wasn't the best student in the world, but she just did not. Sometimes you're around people and you just sense, okay, they don't like me for whatever reason. They don't like me. And I wanted her to like me because I was, journalism was the direction that I was going. So it really bothered me that she didn't like me. And I remember the first time I got a photo credit in the Post-Dispatch, man, I was excited. And after I showed my parents, the next person I wanted to talk to, I think her name was Mrs. Brady, if I remember correctly. I remember going in and taking the Post-Dispatch. I'm a high school kid in a journalism class, and I have a photo credit in the Post-Dispatch.
It's something to be proud of.
Awesome. I show it to her. This could have happened yesterday. It has stuck with me for the rest of my life because, again, wasn't the best high school student. She looks at me and she goes, "That's nice, but it would be maybe you should think about spending a little bit more time on the student newspaper." She said, I have a photo credit in the Post-Dispatch and my journalism teacher at the high school. And at that point, I kind of said to myself, it doesn't actually matter if she doesn't like me. She doesn't get this.
She doesn't, and it's also just, man, she failed. I mean, you should encourage your students that have gotten something like that, have done something like that at such an early age, beyond expectations. You should encourage them and push them, just push them ahead to say, hey, look, see now. Doesn't that show you what you can do?
Right. Yeah.
No, I mean, that's ridiculous.
That's always stuck with me about that. So, but again, I had a wonderful educational experience at that high school. But
I'm mad on your behalf.
I wasn't trying to get you upset there. Hopefully she's not still there, but I don't know. Maybe she is. Anyways, I thought about this earlier when we were talking because I think the staff at the Post-Dispatch, I mean, it's second to none, especially from a sports standpoint. Oh my gosh, do I enjoy reading them. But the industry, and it's happening in radio, it's happening in TV, it's happening everywhere. We're all going more towards digital. It's at a point now where the Post-Dispatch recently said they're going to be printing in Columbia. That means breaking sports. The byline's going to change. Basically, there's not going to be Cardinal game stories inside of the Post-Dispatch anymore if you still get it to your doorstep. And it's things like that that just so illustrate how this industry is changing, and sometimes not always for good.
And there's nothing you can do. You got to evolve with it. Because squawking about it, if you're in it, squawking about it's not going to get you anywhere. All that's going to do is prevent you or stop you or slow you from evolving and sort of adjusting to the changing, the shifting sands and the changing times. Because every time we think that, well, okay, now we know kind of where everything is. That was such a big change. Now there's going to be stability for a while. Now I know what to expect in this business. It's going to change again. And so you really got to be able to maneuver and pivot pretty quickly. Podcasting is a great example too. There were never any podcasts like at the Post-Dispatch STL today. And I'm not knocking, I'm just saying it's the way it was. And when Derek Gould and I started the best podcast in baseball, it was a huge hit. Probably bigger than it should have been, but it's just because there were podcasts, but in this market, on all Cardinals podcast all the time, year round, like lead columnist at the Post-Dispatch, lead baseball writer at the Post-Dispatch. That's an example, like where you understood that, like, hey, don't scoff at podcasting. This is going to be a really big deal. This is a thing. This is how people want to consume a lot of the information we have. And so it wasn't easy for my, always easy for a guy like my dear late friend Rick Hummel and others. But I think most writers got it. It took a while, but they got it. And like I give the Post-Dispatch STL today a lot of credit because their staff is very mobile. Their staff can hit you on all platforms. They're all over the place all the time. So I think they've done an incredible job under Roger Hensley, sports editor, and some others there of just being able to be in the moment and maneuver when you have to maneuver, be in the present with whatever's new. And they've done a great job with it.
Coming up in our next segment, and actually, if you want to text in some things here, we might be able to use them. You ever like make a reference that you think is just an obvious reference, and somebody else doesn't get it, whether it's because it's not in their realm or maybe there's an age issue, whatever it might be. If there's something that you're just used to saying or referencing, like it's like everybody should know it, and recently you've been realizing not everybody knows it, give us some examples of those. You can text in at 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. We were inspired by something that happened on social media. We'll pass that along, and we'll try to figure out some examples of our own. We'll do that coming up in just a moment. It's the Gashouse Gang in for the Dave Glover Show here on KMOX.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
You entrusted a nursing home with the care of a loved one, and you believed they'd be kept safe. But now you've learned the nursing home has violated that trust. You've discovered bed sores, broken bones, and infections. Your loved one did not receive the care they deserved. If your family member has been the victim of nursing home neglect or abuse, call Onder Law at 844-BED-SORE. Onder Law, making a difference one case at a time.
Thanks, Bob. We're here with Doug the Elf, asking about the hottest holiday gifts of the year. Doug, what's on your list?
Yeah, we're getting Missouri lottery scratchers and draw games. We came all the way from the North Pole.
They don't have lottery tickets there?
Now Missouri lottery tickets. They created a new millionaire every 8.1 days last year. Woohoo! I just won!
But I thought that was a gift.
Well, yeah, for me.
You heard it here first. Scratchers and draw games from the Missouri Lottery make great gifts for the holidays. Play it forward and play responsibly. Back to you in the studio.
At 4:30, this news update is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. 53 degrees, feels like 48 downtown at the Arch. With the Christmas holiday over, many folks are beginning to make the trek home.
Early Wednesday morning, Thomas Pegler arrived back home from Denver, where he was visiting his wife's family, and he says transit was smooth.
Denver was really awesome when it came to TSA pre-check and wait times, and then getting out of the airport wasn't too bad either.
Unfortunately, Julian McPeak can't say the same. She ran into some difficulties Wednesday morning trying to fly back to Kentucky after visiting her family in Philly.
Showed up here for a 7 a.m. flight and it was already delayed. Thankfully, I live in an area of the country that has multiple airports, so I'm rebooked easily.
That's a good reason why airport officials recommend signing up for text and email alerts with your airline and getting to the airport 2 to 3 hours early.
Vic Raghupathy for CBS News, Philadelphia.
The mother of Oxford High School shooter Ethan Crumbley wants to be released from prison while she appeals her conviction on involuntary manslaughter charges.
Jennifer Crumbley's attorney, Michael Desi, has filed paperwork asking an Oakland County judge to release her since her appeal could take years.
Mrs. Crumbley didn't commit any crime. There's never, ever been under the law. There's never been a recognition that someone can be held criminally responsible for the intentional criminal acts of another person, whether that other person be their son, their daughter, their father, their brother. It just doesn't matter.
Jennifer Crumbley was sentenced earlier this year to 10 to 15 years in jail for her part in the shooting that left 4 students dead. Tony Ortiz for CBS News, Detroit.
It's time for an update of the St. Louis Business Index. Here is Stifel's Scott Bedell.
Good afternoon, Michael. Hello, everyone. A low volume, rather sleepy trading day on Wall Street as financial markets turned in a mixed performance. At the close of trading, the Dow Jones Industrial Average had gained 28 points to 43,325. The Standard & Poor's 500 index had a modest loss of 2 points at 6,037, while the NASDAQ Composite Index fell 11 points to 20,020. Locally, the Bloomberg St. Louis Stock Index, the best performing index today, gained 0.75% to 1,546. Checking on stocks of local interest, Boeing gained 0.6% to $180.38. Build-A-Bear Workshops added 4.4% to $47.94. Stifel Financial up 0.4% at $107.72. On the downside, Peabody Energy fell 1.2% at $19.81, while Bunge Corporation lost 1.3%. They closed at $78.06. For KMOX, this has been Scott Bedell from Stifel Financial. Stifel is a member of the New York Stock Exchange and SIPC. For more information on our firm, we invite you to visit our website at stifel.com.
Steady light rain overnight, low 47. For tomorrow, periods of rain, all rain, mostly in the morning, high 58 degrees. Saturday's high will be 62. Right now, 53, feels like 48 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
KMOX Sports from the new bold BMW Toyota Sports Desk.
It's the final day of the NHL holiday break for the Blues. They get back at tomorrow night. They're going to match up against the Nashville Predators. That is going to be a home game over at the Enterprise Center. College football starting to wrap things up in the first bowl game of the day. Right now, Pitt has a 30-27 lead against Toledo in the Game Above Sports Bowl, but Toledo does have the football, and they are driving, so we'll see if they can come up with a win against a power conference opponent. Later on today, Rutgers against Kansas State in the Rate Bowl, then Arkansas State against Bowling Green in the very well-known 68 Ventures Bowl. Have some NFL football going on this evening as well. Week 17 continues. Thursday Night Football, it's going to be the Bears playing host to the Seahawks. Yesterday, a Christmas Day doubleheader include the Chiefs going to 15-1 and locking in the top seed in the AFC as they defeat the Steelers 29-10. Tonight's the countdown to opening day. Show 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock. I hope you join Mike Claiborne and myself for the program right here on KMOX. Matt Pauley, KMOX Sports.
Now, KMOX traffic from the michaelsflooringoutlet.com traffic center.
This traffic report's a service of Financial and Tax Strategies. Highways are great shape out there. In fact, the only issues I'm seeing right now, there's a little bit of volume on Manchester, just west of 141. It's a little busy there. And I'm noticing the 270 exits getting off at Manchester. Everybody's going over to West County Center, either for the day after Christmas sales or to return things. So it looks a little busy over there in Des Peres right now. But as far as interstate travel goes, you're in great shape. Light traffic on both sides of the river so far. I'm Roger Brand at the michaelsflooringoutlet.com traffic center.
It's never too early to start thinking about your retirement journey, and it's never too late either. You just need to know that the steps may look a little different. Listen to Wealth and Wisdom with Gary Goldberg, Saturday mornings at 7 here on KMOX.
Hey folks, this is Charlie Brennan. Have you noticed loose bricks or missing mortar around your house on the walls, patios, walkways, porch, or chimneys? If so, this might be a great time to call Morelli Tuck Pointing. What's tuck pointing? It's the removal of old mortar and the replacement of new mortar on a wall or chimney. Sometimes that mortar can become loose, missing, or deeply eroded. We've used the Morelli team to tuck point the Brennan home several times, and in fact, this winter, we noticed the bricks that line the ground near our porch in the backyard had gotten out of line and looked pretty cattywampus. One call, Morelli Tuck Pointing, the job was done. Morelli's the company that's won the Angie's List Super Service Award every year, back to back since 2005. Check out their reviews on the Google, Angie's List, and Better Business Bureau websites. The Masonry Specialists, 314-645-1387, MorelliTuckPointing.com.
Listen, you've been making house payments for years, right? And right now, your home's value has never been higher, right? That means you're likely sitting on a small fortune in equity. Good for you. That's cash that you could use to help secure your retirement, solve all your financial burdens, enable you to travel, everything you want. The catch is, you're not ready to move. No problem. You don't have to with the TrueHold Sell and Stay Leaseback program. This is a genius financial strategy. You sell your home to TrueHold while its value is high. You bank all that equity in cash now, and you can stay as long as you like with an easy, affordable lease. And TrueHold pays property taxes, insurance, and maintenance. TrueHold unlocks your wealth without uprooting your life. Get a TrueHold offer now while your home's value is sky high. Call 1-855-300-9993. That's 1-855-300-9993. Or visit TrueHold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out without moving out. TrueHold.com.
Broadcasting from the Underline Three Lawyers. GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
If it's happening in sports, Bernie Miklasz talks about it. Monday and Friday on The Dave Glover Show on KMOX.
It's the Dave Glover Show with no Dave Glover, no Rachel Zimmerman, no Kevin Wheeler. Andrew's not here, but Matthew Rocchio's here. He is producing for us along with John Camp. I'm Matt Pauley. Bernie Miklasz. We've got a full crew. It's just not the crew that you're used to hearing at this time. I threw this out earlier. If there's any like pop culture references that used to be something that just everybody understood and now not as many people understand it, yet you're saying it and you get frustrated when you say something and people don't understand, text it in 314-436-7900. Matthew Rocchio here with us. So you'll do a better job than I will. So I'm just going to throw things to you. We were inspired for this segment based off something that happened on social media.
Yeah, it was on Twitter or X, however you want to call it, and there was a movie critic who saw the news, and the news being that Christopher Nolan's next film has been announced. He is doing a take on the legendary story of the Odyssey, and there's a bunch of big names already attached to the movie: Tom Holland, Zendaya, Matt Damon, because it is a Christopher Nolan film. That Anne Hathaway's also attached. Robert Pattinson, who he worked with on Tenet's, also attached. But the big thing was that the movie critic responded to this news with kind of this crazy reaction, like, oh my God, Chris Nolan's doing a movie based off a poem from ancient Greece. And kind of like, this is a crazy new idea. I've never seen somebody do something like this. And that caused everyone over the last 2 days to respond with in very kind of derogatory terms for him, just kind of making fun of him for not realizing that the Odyssey is a formative piece of Western culture and has been for well over 2,000 years. And this kind of just got me thinking, because I think a lot of times we run into people and you'll make a reference and they don't get it. And you're just kind of like, how have you not picked this up? And I think we all have those blind spots, but I did think that this one was one that everyone had kind of been exposed to at some point in their life, but apparently not.
Yeah, this one is more like a classic piece of something, so you would think most people would know it. Bernie, something that Ricky Horton says all the time. He does the, well, did you hear about the Lindbergh baby? And there's a lot of people who do not pick up on the Lindbergh baby reference anymore. People go, well, what are you talking about?
That was a long time ago now. I couldn't blame anybody for that. I was coming up blank on this. I'm trying to think of like some examples of like cultural stuff. Not so much products or technology at a certain time. Like, would people understand if you try to explain, 8-tracks, or you try to explain cassettes, or you try to explain getting movies mailed to you?
Mm-hmm. I mean, the current generation doesn't understand VCRs.
Yeah,
and VHS.
Right. And recording things the way we used to record things. But as far as like cultural reference, I got to say, man, I'm flunking this one.
I've got one, and this is
F for failure here on this one.
I was born in 1991. There are people my age who, if you said the phrase, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall, they would give you a blank stare.
Of course they would.
And that is one of those in my mind that's got to be like, how did you get through the world? And because here's the thing. The thing about the Odyssey is it's not that you ever read it because it's very annoying to read and it's very old. It's that every single television show across the last like 60 years has made some kind of reference to the Odyssey in one way or the other. Like The Simpsons has multiple episodes where they make jokes about the Odyssey. Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou is talked about as this seminal movie that is the Odyssey story being retold in a different way. And that's a very popular movie. And so it's just like Mr. Gorbachev chat on this wall. It's like, how did you get through 20 years without being hit with something at some point?
I don't think it's probably being taught in schools quite as much.
Probably a lot not being taught.
That's
right?
probably true.
No, I hear you. You get into that. I'll make, you can make some references to some world events that have happened 20, 25, 30 years ago. I'm sure you get a lot of blank faces among people of a certain age.
Yeah, there's pop culture references. I got a couple text messages. Somebody wrote in groovy that people don't. I use the word groovy. I don't think I've ever gotten pushback on groovy.
Yeah, I don't think I may throw it in every now and then.
Okay.
I've actually made references to the Odyssey and stuff I've written when I make fun of myself for writing columns that are way too long.
Okay,
I'm going to wrap this up because it's becoming like a half. Well, I can't say that word, but it's becoming like some kind of half-baked baseball version of Odyssey. The Odyssey.
Now people watching might not have any clue what you're making reference to.
Don't.
Yeah,
and see, part of me wonders, like, you hear something like the Michigan, or you hear the USC Trojans, and at no point in your life have you ever been like quizzical enough to be like, where did they get that mascot name
Trojan,
from?
yeah.
And figure out what, like, even like the Trojan War and things like that, or just like how ubiquitous is the phrase a Trojan
Maybe
horse?
they just think you're something that you buy at the drugstore.
Exactly.
While be very quiet.
No, I don't. you were saying something during the break, Rock. It's scary to think about. There's like people, Americans, walking around, kids primarily, not little kids, who like if you say 9/11, they look at you. They don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's that when I started meeting people in everyday life that were born after 9/11, as somebody who I was in 5th grade, so that's the big seminal first moment in my life where it's like, oh, you're living in a world where things happen. You're not just reading about history books. And now I meet kids who weren't even born yet and who don't have any context of what the world was like before that. And I don't have a great context, but I have some, and that blows my mind.
More text coming in. Where's the beef is another one that people say might not get. Somebody else said, if it's and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. It is believed that Don Meredith was the one who started that.
I don't even remember that either.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the saying, but I don't know who started
it. I worked with when I was doing AAA baseball in Colorado Springs, I worked with a broadcaster by the name of Dan Karcher. He said that all the time on our broadcast. It was a constant.
So in other words, he was pretty annoying.
I'm not saying that. I liked him a lot. Won't go there. I'm 7 years older than my wife, and there will be like periods of pop culture stuff that I know, and she comes up empty. Like there's some like early 90s TV shows because I was born in 82 and she was born in 88. So the other day I made reference to the show Perfect Strangers. People maybe remember that, had Balky in it. I don't know if anybody, but she had that's a show that I loved growing up, and she had no thought of that whatsoever. She didn't know what it was. So it's funny. Like you don't think about 6-7 years being that big of a difference, but there is definitely a pop culture hole in there of stuff that I'm familiar with that she is not.
This is why I also think it's important if you have kids, just to inject them with that kind of stuff, because one thing that pops up to me is my parents used to always make a reference to a very popular commercial, and now I know the reference, and I saw a new commercial is referring to it, which is he likes it, he really likes it. Mm-hmm. That's an old commercial that ran for a very long time when my parents were in their formative years, and I was a little kid. I knew the reference because my parents would say it every time whatever the cereal was, Life. I think it might have been or something like that, but they would make the same jokes. And so I got that reference. And so I also think it's important. You gotta pass down the references as well.
I got one. This is more from my teenage years, right? So now I don't know that the phrase was been beaten to death for a long time, which is, there's a TV show you like, and all of a sudden one season gets a little weird or whatever. Oh, they jumped the shark, jump the shark, jump the shark, jump the shark. And I always heard that, and people were like using it over and over and over again too much. And I remember it's like, well, they don't even know where that comes from. And it came from Happy Days.
Right. With Fonzie and the shark. Yeah.
Yeah. He was water skiing.
Yeah.
And he actually jumped a shark. And that's where that started. But then all of a sudden, this becomes a big part of the cultural language where everyone's trying to show how clever they are, except they're the opposite of clever. They're using a cliche. It became a terrible cliche.
And I think
no one ever knew where it came from.
I think that's a great example because I know Jumping the Shark, that coming from Happy Days, because there's an entire episode of That 70s Show, which was a show during my childhood,
right,
where they make fun of that episode of Happy Days. And that's where I was like, oh, and so it's one of those things where it's like, even now, formative stuff 20 years later told me about it. And I think that's why it's important to always keep these things going.
And the belief was that's where that show basically ended, where Happy Days, it was no more. Once he jumped the shark, there was nothing left for that show.
See, now that would actually be a fun segment as well, where some classic heralded, beloved TV shows, they actually did, quote, jump the shark.
If you could go back in history and you could put a stop at one moment where you don't go past it, where would that be?
I don't know. See, we have to think of some of those. Maybe we can come back with that tomorrow and give it some thought.
That would be good.
Because it's always sad when it happens. And the thing of it is, it as soon as the episode runs. It's like, there's nothing more that's going to go on here, is there? Like when I think about some of the class, and I don't know when they had a jump the shark moment. Like you look at the great series ER, for example, or you look at the great series West Wing, or you look at the great series some that we love very, very much. Did The Sopranos ever have a jump the shark moment? I'm just freelancing here, so I'm thinking of a lot of things. But there have been some great TV shows in American history where all of a sudden there's one episode and you never could feel, you just couldn't look at it the same way again. Something had changed in a bad way. And it was you're not going to recover from it.
If you've got thoughts on that, maybe text those in as well. And we can revisit that coming up tomorrow. We've got one more segment to go. We'll take a break, back with more in just a moment right here on KMOX.
Now, KMOX traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com traffic center.
This traffic report is a service of Metro Transit. Highways are wide open for you right now. There are no issues. We had some volume on Manchester and getting off 270 onto Manchester around West County Center. It doesn't look as bad as it did 10, 15 minutes ago. Still a little congestion, but no big deal. Like I said, interstates are wide open. The only injury crash we have right now out there working is at Grand and Dr. Martin Luther King in the city. But like I said, otherwise, interstate travel is in great shape for you on both sides of the river, no matter where you need to get to. Do you know mechanics about to be laid off? Tell them to apply for a Metro Transit mechanic job with a $5,000 hiring bonus. Text MECH to 314-897-4085. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
The news of 2024.
We've agreed with ABC on September 10th.
August.
Glad that he's finally agreed to a debate. Hope he shows up.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz is going to help Vice President Harris.
I accept your nomination.
Our country needs a very smart person, and I don't think she's a very smart person.
The Israeli Defense Forces announcing the rescue of one of the hostages.
For all the news of 2025, stay with News Radio 1120, KMOX.
Winter Wonderland, presented by St. Louis County Parks and Byerly RV at Tillis Park, is open now through December 30th. Enjoy more than 1 million dazzling lights with holiday characters and festive scenes while listening to your favorite Christmas songs. Whether you're carrying on a family tradition or starting a new one, you'll never see anything like Winter Wonderland at Tillis Park. More at KMOX.com. Happy holidays from Quality Waterproofing, Wash U Orthopedics, Rawlings Sporting Goods, Telly Tire, and Together Credit Union.
This is a special report from the Missouri Lottery. There's still time to get holiday scratchers and draw games for everyone on your shopping list, even if you are the one at the top of said list. Don't worry, we won't tell. The Missouri Lottery. Play responsibly.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Question. Are you a maintain it before it breaks person or a wait for a problem person? Get ahead of the game or just see what happens type? Well, if you're the practical, forward-thinking sort, then get this. For a limited time, the rock-solid fix-it-right guys at Jerry Kelly will come tune up and inspect your furnace for just $98. It's normally $143, and that's very little money for a lot of peace of mind. Check it out now at
JerryKelly.com.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Zero Res. So week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out, decade in, decade out, Zero Res has been with me and you. They are fantastic at what they do. Their bread and butter is cleaning wall-to-wall carpeting, but they can also do area rugs. They can do any flooring surface. They can do upholstery like your favorite couch or chair that you sit in all the time, but it's gotten a little threadbare, a little worse for wear. If you're not ready for the holidays yet, let us help you get ready. 314 314-474-2020. You can also book online at ZeroResSTL.com. Just mention me and get that great Zero Res customer service with the 30-day Gotta Love It guarantee. It means if we come out to your house, we do our level best, and you are underwhelmed, you just give us a call, and we will come out and we will make sure that you are overwhelmed. 314-474-2020. Book online at ZeroResSTL.com. $129 for 3 rooms of carpeting, $75 off your air duct cleaning. Spell it forwards or backwards, it spells the same. Zero Res.
I'm Kevin Wheeler. This is KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
Starting to wrap up day number 1 of the Gashouse Gang takeover of the Dave Glover Show. And, of course, if we're talking Gashouse Gang, we're talking about our great friends at Saliga Heating and Cooling. They have been such a big part of us being able to bring the Gashouse Gang to you. And, Bernie, I know you've been with them for a really, really long time.
Yeah, we're so appreciative of Dan Saliga and the Saliga family, which has continuously owned Saliga Heating and Cooling since 1927. And you talk about staying power, and you know, think about that, 1927. So they're coming up on pretty soon, be 100 years in business, the same family. And you say, well, you got to be not just pretty good or good, you got to be great to approach your 100th anniversary as a family business and still be going strong. And that's why they're so terrific. And we have found that out. The Miklasz family has found that out with 16 years or so of calling Saliga for, we have a problem, we have a question, we think something's broken down. Can you come look at this? Whatever it might be, a mini emergency, prompt service, attention to detail. You can totally trust everything they tell you. They're not trying to hustle you, upsell you, tell you need something that you don't. And they also have that American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning equipment. They are an independent American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning dealer. They can do anything you would imagine. A business that's been around since 1927. They'll take great care of you, and you can trust them. They'll work with you. They'll present cheaper alternatives if you do have a problem. They'll try to save you money rather than it cost you more money. And I think you would be very impressed if you've never called Saliga Heating and Cooling. Try to go online at SaligaHeatingandCooling.com, SaligaHeatingandCooling.com, get the phone number, but also take a look at all their services. It is a long, long list of services, stuff you probably wouldn't imagine you would see on there. And also look at information on the Priority Club, which is a maintenance program or preventative maintenance program, which will keep you safe and give you peace of mind. It'll save you money. I mean, the benefits are numerous. And you can read all about it if you go to SaligaHeatingandCooling.com. Financing options are available, subject to credit approval. It's Saliga Heating and Cooling. And the phone number, 314-481-7333.
You mentioned Saliga coming up on 100 years. Should be noted, Christmas Eve, just a couple days ago, the 99th birthday of KMOX. We went on the air 99 years ago, 1925 on December 24th. So we are now into our 100th year of existence.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So
proud to be a part of it, all of us.
We're going to do this again tomorrow, Bernie.
And we have some good things to talk about. College football playoffs. Yep. How do we fix the flaws we've seen? And there's some more. We'll get into some more Cardinals talk. There's a lot of things to hit.
Hey, maybe Nolan Arenado's gonna get traded at 10:00 tomorrow morning.
I'll be checking first thing when I wake up. Did it happen? MLB trade rumors. Tell me. Talk to me. What do you got for me?
We've got the Countdown to Opening Day show coming up tonight from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. Myself and Mike Claiborne. It is our holiday edition where we go into some archive audio tonight. We're going to play a snippet for you of a great conversation that Mike Shannon had with Stan Musial. It was great. It was so much fun. I got the chance to kind of go back and listen through a bunch of stuff and choose what I wanted to go with. That's going to be part of the program tonight. Thanks so much for being tuned in to our Gashouse Gang takeover of the Dave Glover Show. Bernie, I'll be back with you tomorrow at 1 o'clock right here on KMOX.
In the U.S., there are about 60 million adults 65 and older. And last year, nearly 1 million of them were hospitalized due to flu, COVID, or RSV. That's nearly 1 million people who plan to